This guy was totally stunned. Just a moment ago, he was a streamer in the 21st century, and in the blink of an eye, he found himself smack in the middle of a battlefield. Shell-shocked by the explosions, he didn't even have time to process what was happening before a falling rock nearly took him out. As he scrambled to his feet, the smell of gunpowder hit him so hard it was impossible to breathe. Right then, a cannon fired right next to him, nearly scaring the soul out of his body. The protagonist just stood there completely frozen, having no clue what was going on. The constant explosions terrified him, and he screamed in anger, "What the hell is even going on?" He barely finished the sentence when he realized an army was fighting right beside him. He collapsed in shock. What is this? What kind of insane situation is this? Suddenly, a soldier came running over in a panic. "Your Highness, are you all right?" Seeing the guy charging toward him with a sword, the protagonist backed away, screaming, "Stay back! I said, stay away from me!" Seeing the soldier actually obey him, the protagonist froze. The soldier stood still, trembling, then suddenly knelt down and shouted, "Your Highness, it is my fault. Please, Your Highness, save us." Seeing the man's eyes well up with tears, the protagonist was even more confused. What is wrong with this guy all of a sudden? The protagonist slowly stood up, cautiously moving forward. "Hey man, just calm down for a second, all right?" Right at that moment, a brilliant orb of light flew toward them, creating a massive explosion that sent the protagonist flying. Somehow surviving the blast, he clutched his chest, struggling to breathe, and tried to process. What on earth is happening? Was that a bomb? Just then, a strange blue glow caught his eye. Right where the explosion happened, a weird blue flame was burning continuously, causing anyone it touched to scream in agony. The protagonist, witnessing this for the first time, stared in horror. Suddenly, a group of soldiers rushed forward. "This way! Over here, the vanguard, push forward. Do not let them climb up here." The soldiers charged toward the ramparts with swords in hand. Just then, a massive limb tore through a soldier, piercing his stomach and lifting him into the air. The severed arm flew toward the protagonist, splattering blood everywhere, which left him absolutely horrified. The group of soldiers that had just charged forward were all slaughtered the same way, unable to fight back. The protagonist finally realized something was in front of him, but by now, it was already too late. A giant spider climbed over the wall, heading straight for him. Its eyes glowed intensely as it let out a deafening screech. Instinctively, the protagonist covered his ears, trying to figure out what was in front of him. A new group of soldiers charged at the monster, determined to end it right there. But unfortunately, their fate was the same as those before them, dying in vain without accomplishing anything. Witnessing this nightmare over and over, the protagonist shivered uncontrollably, his limbs turning to jelly, unable to move a muscle. Is this a dream, or am I just hallucinating? This situation is clearly impossible to accept. Don't do this to me. I can't just die like this. Facing the monster's claws, the protagonist felt utterly hopeless, left sitting there and waiting for his inevitable death. Suddenly a warm voice echoed. "Your Highness, why are you losing yourself to reality like this?" With a single strike, the guy in front of him sliced the giant monster in two. Then he turned to the protagonist and smiled. "Why are you reacting like that?" Seeing the protagonist staring in shock, the young man approached him with concern. "Your Highness, are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere?" Seeing the guy up close, the protagonist felt like he knew him. Recalling a character from the game Protect the Empire, the protagonist yelled in surprise, "Lucas!" Immediately, Lucas teared up. "As I thought, you've hit your head, haven't you?" He wiped away his happy tears and easily lifted the protagonist off the ground. "Well, it's fine. At least you finally said my name. In all the years I've served you, you've never remembered it once." Seeing the other person claimed to be Lucas, the protagonist turned pale. "Wait, is it really Lucas? Oh God, hold on. If this is real, does that mean I'm inside the game? Protect the Empire?" Realizing the truth, the protagonist screamed in despair. He was the only person to ever beat this game, so he knew exactly what situation he was in. "I'm doomed. This is the super hard game. I just broke the world record for Protect the Empire. That's it. The place where I struggled to hold back waves of demons. The game that was ridiculously, insanely hard. Why? Why the hell did I get transmigrated into this game?" While he was panicking, Lucas grabbed his arm and shouted, "Your Highness, the enemy is closing in." "It's the Black Spider Army." The fortress is on the verge of collapse, but these spiders won't be active after sunset. We have 30 minutes before the sun goes down, so until then I will do my best to hold them off, Your Highness." He drew his sword and stood in front of the protagonist, his face determined and fearless. Seeing this, the protagonist was incredibly confused. Why is he protecting me? And what did he call me, Your Highness? Who am I right now? Filled with endless questions, the protagonist struggled to survive until the sun went down. As soon as the sunlight faded, the monster army immediately retreated, leaving behind the ruined fortress and the bodies of the soldiers. Lucas, at this moment, finally let out a sigh of relief. It's finally set. The black spiders are retreating. The protagonist stood on the ramparts, staring blankly at the pile of monster corpses below. The scene was truly barbaric. How could a modern person like him ever handle this? After a long silence, he spoke up and asked Lucas, "What date is it today and where am I?" Lucas immediately replied, "It is the last day of February in the year 649 according to the imperial calendar. We are currently at the frontline fortress on the border." Realizing that tomorrow was the first day of March, the protagonist gritted his teeth in frustration. "March 1st year 649 of the imperial calendar, the day the monsters start attacking the city. I'm exactly in the most dangerous place at the most dangerous time." Of course he would be. Since he started playing Protect the Empire, he had been through this situation and this exact spot hundreds of times. "And I am Asma." Realizing his identity, he panicked and yelled at Lucas, "My name is as Von Heider Everblack." After Lucas confirmed it, the protagonist pulled at his hair. Why? Why did I have to transmigrate into this jerk's body? The mad third prince of the Empire, who is commanding this battle, is also the one responsible for the countless casualties of thousands of soldiers, and he is the one destined to meet the most tragic end. In the ending of the game, as Von Heider Everback. Why did it have to be me? Damn it. After returning to the command tent, he looked in the mirror and cursed, "You idiot, Ash. You should have just stayed back in the capital like a good boy. Why the hell did you come here?" After venting, he continued to pull at his hair, lost in thought about this game. It was a classic tower defense game. The reason why this game is widely known is because of the extreme difficulty of the Hell level, combined with the Iron Man mode used throughout the entire playthrough. These two can be combined to beat the Iron Hell mode, and I am the only one who has ever cleared that Iron Hell mode. Not just about the score I could get, I was confident that I had enough skill to figure out a way to resolve it, except for one thing, the tutorial for this situation. He immediately opened the system window, desperately looking for a way out. This level is impossible to complete. Even with a guide, you'd still fail because the story only truly begins after Lucas escapes the monster invasion in this game alone. To survive for 3 years, the Black Spider Army is the first thing you have to face if you want to make it through the first half of the second year. How could I possibly fight against hundreds of monsters that huge? The current situation is extremely dangerous. Ash understood that clearly, so he slapped himself to try and calm down. "Focus, you game addict. This is the game I once cleared. If I synthesize all the experience and knowledge I have, I'm sure I'll find a suitable solution." But right now his mind is totally blank. Ash stared blankly at the system screen, then laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha, damn it, this time I'm really dead." Looking at the current intel, he couldn't help but shout, "What level are these spiders? Level 55, level 60. And there are thousands of them out there. What the hell is going on? Plus, the wall's durability is rock bottom and the only usable weapon. Here is this old cannon, what else can I do?" After venting, he realized that complaining was useless. He calmed himself. Down closed his eyes and recalled thousands of hours playing this game. My win rate is basically 0. I have to find a way to raise those odds. Calm down, stay really calm. If I'm playing in Iron Man mode, the game doesn't allow saving and reloading, so if I make one wrong move, everything is gone. Therefore, I must find every way to utilize every precious second. Since playing this game, I've learned one thing: every situation or level has a method to overcome and survive. Even if it's just a tiny sliver of a chance, that tiny sliver is the critical key. After searching through every little detail, finally, Ash found a ray of hope. He immediately kicked the door open and shouted, "Find Lucas!" Lucas, who was standing guard outside, hurriedly replied, "Your Highness, I'm here." "Here, Your Highness, I'm right here. What's going on?" Seeing Lucas, Ash immediately ordered, "Hurry, assemble a squad under my command." Lucas was stunned for a moment before asking, "A squad? Do you mean the Royal Guards, Your Highness? You've never called for them before. Why now all of a sudden?" Before he could finish, he was interrupted. "Don't ask, just do as I say. I've found a way to get through this." Then Ash pointed forward, flashing a confident smile. Although he didn't understand, Lucas still followed orders and summoned the guard squad in the middle of the night. Besides Lucas, it seemed like everyone was feeling hopeless. Ash looked over, carefully assessing them. They were all familiar faces. Lily, Ken, and Damien. It really was them. I have witnessed their deaths countless times, but this time, it will be different. Ash looked at Damien and asked, "Why is he curled up like a ball?" Lily explained that he lost a friend today, so he was extremely heartbroken. Ash then remembered what was described in the game. Now that he thought about it in the tutorial, he was like that too. Because he was always in an unstable state, he was also the first to sacrifice himself. He was a healer, a very important role, but he couldn't help, and with anything at all. After thinking that, Ash began to declare, "All right. First, I will explain everyone's role in tomorrow's battle right now. First is Lily. She is a fire mage, standing in a key position in the army, using spells to create significant damage. But for some hellish reason, Ash told her to take on the role of a tanker tomorrow, blocking the spiders' attack on the soldiers. This made Lily gape in shock. "But Your Highness, I'm a mage." Ash didn't care, and moved immediately to the next person, Ken. Ken is a heavy armor knight capable of pushing back the enemy's front line, capable of drawing the spiders' attention and attacking them. He is a tanker, but the task Ash gave him was to infiltrate deep into enemy lines and cause chaos. Ken was questioning reality because of what he just heard. Ash then moved to the next person, Damien. As mentioned before, Bait, is a healer, a very important profession in the game. However, defying convention, Ash assigned him the role of a marksman aiming for the most important targets. Finally, Lucas will control the remaining soldiers and maintain a firm front line. After hearing the assignments, everyone stood there, stunned and silent for a long time. This made Ash a bit awkward. What is this? Somebody say something." Ken couldn't hold it anymore, angrily punching the wall. "Damn it, you call this a plan? Are you being serious, Your Highness? You are definitely putting everyone here in danger with that kind of command. Have you lost your mind?" Suddenly being questioned, Ash was a bit startled. "But that crazy guy isn't me. It's the bastard Ash. And yeah, this is a bit crazy, but this is a level that cannot be cleared by conventional means. Which means if I'm not crazy, I can't clear it, right? So I can't lose. Here." To survive, Ash was forced to execute this crazy plan. His demeanor suddenly changed completely, exuding the authority of the royal family. "Ken, as the son of the noble king, and as commander of this army, are you trying to defy orders?" Sensing the pressure in the room was suffocating, and everyone was pale with fear. Ken, in particular, was trembling so hard he could barely stammer out, "Your Highness, please." Ash at this moment was acting like nothing more than a total madman, grinning with sadistic glee. "That's right, Ken. The person standing right in front of you is a lunatic. If we lose this battle, it's all over. So for the plan to actually work, I need—" Ash suddenly stood up and walked straight toward Lily. Without a single word, he drew his dagger and stabbed it directly into her shoulder. In the stunned silence of the room, he declared, "You're all capable of following orders, aren't you?" Ash was fully committed to this madman persona. If he was going to do this, he was going to see it through. Even a knight like Ken, who had survived countless life-or-death battles, was breaking into a cold sweat. This crazy prince is a total lunatic, Ken thought. He doesn't even realize how valuable a mage is. How are we supposed to head into battle under this guy's command? Suddenly, Ash's dagger burst into flames, leaving everyone wide-eyed with shock. Only Ash knew what was really happening. I didn't know the developers actually put this in. It wasn't a joke. Every character had hidden skills traits that were completely the opposite of their established roles. Ash spoke up again. "Lily, you were cut by a sword when you were a kid, right? Back when the goblins attacked your village. After that accident, you gained the flame skin trait. As long as you have mana, you can block any physical attack. Am I wrong?" Lily was so terrified she had tears in her eyes staring at the blazing flame. Flame Skin was a defensive ability, but it was on someone with massive attack power. This made it impossible to fully utilize in the game, but this was reality now. Ash intended to push this ability to its absolute limit, hoping they could clear this stage. Standing before the intense red fire, Ash wore a sinister smile. No other choice but to cheat. Like you said, you bastard who threw me into this place. I'm going to beat this damn game, and then I'm going to hunt you down and smash you to pieces. After the display, Ash slowly pulled his knife back. Sorry for going a bit overboard to prove my point. Right, Lily. At this point, she was incredibly curious. It's fine, Your Highness, but how did you know about that? Ash said that wasn't important. Then immediately turned his gaze toward Ken. Ken, you used to be a thief when you were a kid, didn't you? You came from the slums with too many mouths to feed, so becoming a knight must have been hard, right? With his secret revealed, Ken instinctively stepped back. How do you know? Ash, holding the dagger, offered a mysterious smile. I told you that's not important anymore. What matters is what you can do with it. Ken, your trait is the survival method of a thief. Your sense of timing is just like a thief's. You can dampen your presence to face danger and avoid drawing attention. The downside is that it drains a massive amount of health points every time you use it. Seeing that Ken didn't answer, Ash continued. You can steal whenever you want, right? You can hide and avoid attention. Answer me, or do I need to give you another demonstration? Ken, spooked by the madness he just witnessed, immediately bowed his head. No, Your Highness. You're right. Ash was extremely satisfied. Good, then. From now on, just follow my orders. Finally, Damien. Ash placed his knife on the table and slowly walked toward Damien, the ace up his sleeve for this plan. He sat down in front of Damien, smiling kindly. You have incredibly sharp eyes, don't you? That's why you were able to foresee your friend's death, Damien. Damien tearfully recounted, He was my fellow villager. We came from the same orphanage. In the middle of the battle, he sacrificed himself for me. Why? Why did you bring us here, Your Highness? Why? As Damien sobbed and questioned Ash's insane actions, he pleaded, What are you trying to do? Our measly lives mean nothing to you, just a game, right? Please give Van back. Give my friend back. In his desperate screams, everyone fell silent, quietly looking toward the two of them. They all understood that this battle was doomed to fail. There wasn't a shred of hope at this moment. Only Ash held on to his resolve. He placed a hand on Damien's shoulder, his gaze unwavering. You can blame me, Damien. If you need to, you can hate me too. But your friend Van Sacre sacrificed his life for you. Are you going to sit here and wait for death, wasting your friend's sacrifice just because you're at death's door due to a trash commander? Are you going to throw away the life that your friend died to save? You need to take back what you lost and get revenge for him. Kill those spiders. Get out there and fight. Teach them a lesson. Damien, do you want to kill those damn spiders? Damien, with vacant eyes, replied that he wanted to. Not stopping there, Ash continued, And do you want to kill me? Facing that question. Damien hesitated for a long time, and then he answered, yes. The other three listeners were shocked. Under imperial law, attempting to assassinate a royal descendant carried a price worse than death. No one expected that Damien would dare to answer so bluntly. Only Ash smiled radiantly. All right, I promise. After we get out of here, I'll let you kill me whenever you want. As a protector, Lucas couldn't let that happen, but the moment he tried to object, Ash cut him off. If the plan fails, we all die. If that happens, I'd rather let you kill me. I swear on the honor of the royal family. Just for one day, follow my orders. Ash understood that sometimes you need to use anger as kindling, even if that anger is directed at yourself. Those words seemed to have worked. Damien slowly stood up, ready to follow the crazy plan. At this moment, Ash stood in the center of the room looking down at them. I won't make any excuses. Because of my poor judgment, my army was nearly wiped out. But if you follow this plan, we can push those spiders back. It might be small, but the chance of victory is still there. So just once, please trust me and follow me. Please. The eyes of everyone had completely changed, filled with a fighting spirit, determined to find a way to live in the midst of despair. And so all preparations were complete. Ash didn't know if this team was just a pile of trash or not, but there were no other options left. The next day, the alert soldiers spotted the monsters, heading their way. Beating the warning drums, the Black Spider army is heading toward us, the monsters are coming. The soldiers at this moment, the drums are beating, warning us that the army of Black Spiders is heading our way. The monsters are coming. All troops take your positions. I'm still a bit skeptical about whether everything will be okay, Your Highness. Ash reassured them that they just needed to follow his orders. The plan was simple, while others are stalling for time. Ash and the people here will find the queen and blow her away with this mana cannon. Ignoring the mana overload backlash, Ash hopes there will be enough firepower to defeat the queen. The problem is her location. She's so far away that she can't be seen with the naked eye. Can this really be done? Of course it can. Ash is no ordinary person. He is a player who has beaten this damn game. He smiled confidently and used the creation function of the system's map. Instantly, a curtain of light shot out from Ash, heading straight forward, passing through everything with ease. Ash's map-making skill is a skill that allows observation of the entire area in the form of a mini-map. Seeing these trash stats for the first time, Ash was extremely shocked. It's truly awful, but luckily this skill is still useful. Through the mini-map, Ash tracked the traces of the Spider Queen, but after looking through the map, he suddenly realized the goal of this mission, the Queen of the Spider Monsters, wasn't on the map. Meanwhile, at the city gate, Ken stood watching the gate slowly opening. Before the battle, Ash had given him all the remaining stamina potions, along with the order to go out and draw the monster's attention. Ken recalled the scene at that moment, terrified until his face turned pale. You think I can do that? Charging into the middle of a monster horde is no different from suicide. Even the bravest warrior would falter before this order. Inside the tunnel, Lily was also trembling, remembering what Ash had said. Lily, I will also give you a difficult task. In case the spider monsters manage to break through into the artillery team, I want you to use fire skin to block the entrance. Lily, despite her fear, tried to encourage herself that she could do it. Now she had placed her full trust in this most unreliable prince. After getting ready, Lucas shouted, ordering the soldiers into position. Standing before the dense wave of monsters, he raised his sword high, loudly encouraging them. You all must try to hold on. We have to buy time until the prince defeats that Spider Queen. That solemn expression surely meant the prince had prepared everything. But little did he know that the expression was because the plan had gone completely off the rails. Ash looked at the map with a face like rotten shit, not understanding why he couldn't see the Spider Queen anywhere. Before Ash could report it, Lucas had already ordered the attack, then turned to him smiling. A bright smile. Things had reached this point, so there was no turning back. Ash decided not to tell anyone and find a way to solve it himself. All right then, calm down. First of all, the goal of this battle is not to kill the boss, so her not appearing on the map is not a surprise. Perhaps she will appear when there is a full-scale attack. They have a safe rearguard behind them. Those soldiers were prepared in case of an emergency. That is the only place the queen could appear. Exactly as Ash suspected on the mini-map, deep behind enemy lines, a group of monsters appeared that wasn't moving at all. Immediately, Ash grabbed Damien's shoulder and pointed into the distance. Damien, over there, do you see it? Damien looked in the direction pointed and replied, Yes, I see a group of spiders sitting still doing nothing. The reply surprised Ash a bit. He thought this was only a possibility. He turned his gaze into the distance and asked Damien if he could see the Spider Queen. At this moment, Damien narrowed his eyes, his pupils beginning to glow. The Queen? Do you mean the monster with the lower body of a spider and the upper body of a human? Hearing that description, Ash suddenly flashed a devious smile. Found you. Finally, he had found the most important target that needed to be destroyed. Seeing the boss's appearance, Damien felt a bit scared, but for someone who had seen it hundreds of times, Ash didn't care anymore. No need to fear. It will soon be shot to death by this cannon. Not wasting any more time, Ash ordered the soldiers to turn the cannon toward the south, preparing to eliminate the boss. After the mana charging process for the cannon was complete, Ash pointed at the lever and asked Damien to grab it. Damien bowed his head, his hand on the lever, his whole body trembling. Prince, I am not confident.
I have never done things like this before, therefore asking,
Me to do it is a bit... Not letting him be any more insecure, Ash interrupted Damien. You can miss. You can even mess everything up. It doesn't matter. I will take full responsibility. All you need to do is pull the cannon barrel. You are the vengeful vanguard. Ash put his hand on Damien's shoulder, his gaze firm as he encouraged him. He had secretly decided to take full responsibility for this crazy plan. All consequences were the commander's responsibility. The soldiers only followed orders. Feeling. More confident, Damien's eyes glowed bright, activating his 10,000-mile eyes trait. The moment he pulled the lever, a giant mana bullet was immediately fired, rushing forward. Unlike normal mana bullets, this bullet seemed to have a mind of its own, flying in a curved trajectory toward the Spider Queen in the distance. After a massive explosion, the soldiers checked with binoculars, excited, and shouted loudly, It hit the target right in the middle of the monster horde! Now Damien had become a hero in the eyes of the soldiers. This guy is truly impressive. Are you sure this is your first time, ha ha ha? Damien smiled and replied, I just followed the instructions. When I held the cannon barrel, my whole body started moving on its own. Only Ash understood clearly what had just happened. What are you talking about, Damien? It was all thanks to your trait, an amazing trait that always hits the target accurately. In the game, he is a character who cannot wield real weapons, but here all he does is catch it. Ha ha ha! They took the full brunt of our attack. Truly, there's no one like me. Ha ha ha! Ash was laughing happily because the plan succeeded when suddenly he noticed something wrong from the battlefield. What is it? Why are they still moving? The soldiers holding binoculars fearfully reported, Prince. They are still moving. Over there, a group of spiders is approaching. They are coming here. Hearing, Ash panicked, grabbed the binoculars, and looked straight into the distance. As the dust cloud gradually cleared, the silhouette of the monster army gradually appeared. The Spider Queen is still alive. In the split second before death, it had used the smaller monsters as a human shield and successfully escaped. Now it was extremely angry, heading toward the fortress to vent its rage. Following its furious scream, the monsters suddenly retreated in unison, seeing that the soldiers were very confused. Where are they suddenly going? The spiders are moving. Aren't we shooting them, the queen monster? Why is she still unscathed? At this moment, Ash was scared to the point of turning pale. He understood clearly the terrible nightmare waiting for them. Behind the retreating spider horde, they suddenly gathered into a dense mob charging straight toward the fortress to attack. Standing before the flood of monsters, Ash could only smile wryly. Damn it, you give orders fast too, you bitch queen. At this moment, outside the fortress walls, Ken is crouching silently behind a large tree, clutching his very last potion. Should he just make a run for it with the monsters suddenly going berserk, he couldn't continue his mission. His distraction plan was ruined. If he threw himself back into that swarm of monsters now, it would be suicide. Just then, a tremor caught Ken's attention. He took his small glimmer of hope and peeked out to observe. But he was so disappointed he slumped to the ground. Even after being hit by another shot from the mana cannon, the spiders were still moving, showing no signs of stopping. Ash was gritting his teeth, having no idea how to survive. The spiders were still moving. The queen was still alive. Could it be that we aren't strong enough? The original queen of the black spider swarm should have died after just 1 or 2 mana cannon shots. After all, in the game, compared to other monsters on the 0th floor, the queen wasn't even that strong. But this queen seems a bit different. I have 0 information about her. What if her stats are different? What if she has some special trick up her sleeve? Or what if she isn't even meant to be killed? So what am I supposed to do? Now Ash was buried in a pile of negative thoughts, unable to think straight. Just then, a soldier shouted, pulling him back to reality. Your Highness, because the cannon's energy core has been used too much, it's reaching its limit. This was a huge problem. We wouldn't be able to fire as many times as we predicted. Hearing that, Ash snapped and shouted, You've said too much. How many more shots do we even have left? The terrified soldier reported. Only 5 shots total. Since we've already fired twice, that only leaves 3 shots. Hearing this, Ash froze. 3 more shots. We have no choice but to kill that queen with just 3 shots. Furthermore, it seems Damien's 10,000-mile eyes have side effects. With only 3 shots at most, can he even hold out until then? Luckily, the fortress wall at the center could withstand the impact quite well. Just then, a soldier reported that the wall-breaking monsters were approaching. The only good news Ash had was immediately crushed. He looked at the giant monster in front of him and just wanted to let out a massive curse. It was trying to pierce right through the wall. There was nothing like this in the game. Ash frantically yelled, "Defend! Focus all our firepower directly on that giant monster!" But with a body that massive regular cannon fire was like nothing more than a mosquito bite. The sturdy fortress wall now looked like thin paper in front of that monster, which collapsed effortlessly. The swarm of monsters poured through, charging straight ahead. Seeing this, Lucas drew his sword and commanded the soldiers, "Everyone draw your weapons. We're heading down to the first floor." Ash didn't hesitate, ordering the nearby soldiers, "Gather here. The people heading down there will cover us. We have to keep firing at the Queen before those damn monsters reach the artillery zone. We absolutely must kill the Queen. If we can't take down the boss, everyone here, we'll be finished. And this is reality, not a game. So death is final. There won't be any respawning." After the mana cannon finished reloading, Damien immediately opened fire, aiming straight at the Queen in the distance. Seeing the mushroom cloud, Ash shouted, "That definitely hit the Black Spider Queen, but she's still alive." He immediately prepared for the next volley. "Hurry up!" Meanwhile, Lucas was fighting valiantly, taking down every monster heading toward the artillery unit. "Protect the artillery zone. We must protect the Imperial Highness." Ash stood on the wall, helpless, watching soldier after soldier get killed in vain. The casualty reports kept popping up, pushing his mind to the absolute breaking point. The casualty count kept rising. I don't know when. I even started playing this thing, like it was just a game. This is a place where people fight to survive. The reality is that death isn't just a number. It comes with shrill screams and the sickening stench of blood. With this situation, 5 shots the mana cannon will shatter before we can even get the 4th shot off. What should I do? Is there any method to handle this situation I can't think of? Anything. Ash tried to recall the experiences that helped him beat the game, but nothing was useful in this hopeless situation. Just then a loud shout echoed from afar. It was Ken. "Hey! You monster mutts, I'm over here. Hey, look at me!" Ken downed his last potion and roared at the top of his lungs, "I'm Ken, a knight of the Empire." Immediately, the monster's aggro shifted, and they swarmed toward Ken. Having achieved his goal, Ken turned and ran, pulling the monsters far away from the fortress wall. Spotting a large rock ahead, he quickly ducked behind it and smiled triumphantly. The Petty Thief's survival method trait was activated, covering Ken's body in a black mist. But on Ash's end, a notification suddenly appeared. Seeing this info, Ash screamed in horror. "Wait, Ken, your remaining HP. Due to the blood loss, Ken's trait has been cancelled. It can't be activated." Standing in the middle of the monster wave, Ken was like a sitting duck. He couldn't even fight back. In his final moments, he didn't even have time to curse before being torn to shreds. Damn it, I shouldn't have trusted. Witnessing this horrific scene, Ash fell into despair. Even from so far away, he could clearly hear the sound of flesh being torn apart. My wrong orders took the lives of others. Not just Ken, but everyone out there had their lives taken away because of a single order from me. I'm killing all of them. Furthermore, while playing this game, I always used my troops as bait whenever necessary. This damn game was designed to follow this path with the goal of saving someone, to get some item, to complete a side quest, to achieve those accomplishments. Someone had to. They had to die, and I killed them with a smile on my face. I didn't complain about any of the mistakes I made, but now I've realized everything. I can no longer bear the damage I've caused up until this moment. I have to let all these pent-up emotions out. "Stop it," I said. "Stop, you damn monsters." But then they realized the terrible truth. Every death comes with endless agony, and they wouldn't stop. Just screaming wasn't enough. The monsters wouldn't back down. The moment one monster lunged at Ash, a sword pierced its head. The person who struck was none other than Lucas. Even in a life-threatening situation, he always prioritized protecting Ash. "Are you all right, Your Highness?" Ash snapped back to reality. He gripped his dagger and sliced the monster's head off. "That's it. There's only one way to make them stop. Kill them before they kill us." The artillery squad finished prepping their fourth shot and immediately signaled Ash, but he saw that Damien's condition was not looking good at all. Ash shouted, "Damien, can you still fire?" Despite his eyes bleeding, Damien gritted his teeth and pushed through. "Yes, Your Highness." The fourth mana shell curved, past countless suicide monsters heading straight for the queen, and detonated. Yet that damn queen was still alive. Hearing the deafening roar from afar, the artillery squad collapsed in despair. Because to fire that fourth shot, the team hadn't hesitated even with the barrels glowing white-hot and their hands blistered. "Our attacks aren't working. The mana cannon has reached its limit. If we... Oh, try to fire again, it will explode. There's really nothing left we can do. Let's just surrender." Ash, drenched in sweat, looked around. "It's over. We've reached the edge of despair. The defense line is shattered, and the artilleryman can't even open his eyes anymore. Is this really how it ends? Is there really no hope left?" Just then, a soldier shouted excitedly after looking through his binoculars, "No, we definitely dealt damage the queens. The skin has peeled off." In such a desperate situation, the scout still managed to do his job. He turned to Ash, beaming. "If we fire one more shot, we could..." Right then, a massive attack flew straight toward the watchtower. Lucas screamed, "Your Highness," in despair, but he couldn't do anything trapped in a swarm of monsters. The tower shattered and Ash fell through the air. "It's broken. Hope. The world. It's all fading away." In a daze, Ash heard Lucas calling his name. When he opened his eyes, he saw ruins. Lucas was using his own back to block a massive falling wall. Ash was startled. He stood up. Lucas was covered in wounds, but the first thing he did was ask about Ash. "Your Highness, are you hurt anywhere?" Ash rushed over, panicked. "That's what I should be asking you. Are you okay?" Lucas vomited a pool of blood, his mind slipping. "Your Highness, do you remember? That was in the past. It's been 20 years already." Ash was silent, lost in thought, staring at Lucas. As a player suddenly thrust into this body, Ash had absolutely no memory of it. Lucas, not getting an answer, continued. "The first time you let me be your bodyguard, Your Highness, you said..." Ash didn't know what the original owner of this body had said that made Lucas so loyal. He asked, "What did I say?" The memory of that day remained vivid in Lucas's mind, not faded in the slightest. Even as a child, Ash had declared, "If I cannot become emperor, I will become the greatest man in the world. And for the one who would become my knight, I want you, Lucas, to be the best knight in the empire." Those words had touched Lucas's heart so deeply that he thought about them day and night. With a resolute gaze, Lucas said he believed in the master he served. Ash asked, surprised, "Even in a situation like this?" Lucas replied without a second thought, "Anytime, anywhere." As soon as he finished, Lucas reached his limit and was buried, under the rubble, unconscious. After pulling Lucas out, Ash stared intently. "Wait there, Lucas. You are the protagonist, the savior of the world. You shouldn't die in a place like this." Now Ash had to find a way to take down the boss as quickly as possible. He scanned the area looking for anything useful. "Now I need to figure out a way to get out of this mess. Is this the area below the artillery? How long have I been unconscious?" He spotted Damien and the artillery crew nearby. Luckily, they had dodged the impacts. And so no one died, but the cannons weren't so lucky. Ash wondered why they had survived. Didn't the spider monsters take the opportunity to attack? Just then the answer appeared before his eyes. Lily, her entire body engulfed in flames, followed by thousands of spider monsters heading toward... Ash whispered, "It's not over yet, is it?" Seeing this, Ash rushed over but was blocked by Lily. "I can't take it anymore. I can only hold them back for now, but the monsters will break the gate and get here soon. We're out of time. Hurry, don't let our sacrifice be in vain." She downed the last vial of potion and used her own body to block the path, buying a little precious time for Ash and the artillery team. Ash gritted his teeth, turned, and urged the soldiers, "Get up, artillery, load your last round." The soldiers tried to stand their bodies, trembling, unable to speak, but my lord, we told you the cannons are no longer functional. If we fire them, they'll explode." Ash looked at the swarm of monsters and said, "If we don't do anything, we're going to die anyway. Isn't this the moment to take a gamble? Even if we have to sacrifice ourselves, we have to try." The artillery crew was silent for a moment, then asked,
But how? Can we hit the target? We can't even see outside anymore. There's no way to know where the Spider Queen is.
Ash snapped back. If the cannon is broken, then carry it with your own hands. You don't need to aim, Demian, just fire. Load it. That's an artillery order. Even though the artillerymen were deeply skeptical of such an absurd command, they had no choice but to obey. Ash then walked toward Demian. In his mind, he thought about what he was about to do. He didn't know exactly how the special trait worked, but he knew if Demian pulled the trigger, that shot would hit. We have no choice but to have faith. Damian was slumped on the ground, dazed, when he suddenly heard a voice behind him. Damian, this is the final shot. You just need to fire one more time. Just one more time. Please just try one more time. By now, Damian's eyes were severely damaged. Even Ash, standing right in front of him, was just a blur. He turned his head toward Ash and asked, My lord, what is the point of all this? No matter what I do, nothing ever changes, he said. Ash replied that if Damian fired one more time, the Spider Queen would die, but Damian suddenly interrupted, My lord, that's not what I meant. Even if I fire again and the Spider Queen dies, what will that change? What's the point? No matter how hard I work, no matter how much I try, this world is already in ruins. I just want everything to stop right now. I don't want to live like this anymore. I just want to... Damian, swept away by his own negative thoughts, kept muttering aimlessly. Just then Ash shouted, Demian, Ash, you think this world doesn't make any sense? Ugh. You think if you overcome one hardship, you'll just keep living in hell? Damian started to stutter. Yes. Ash immediately grabbed him by the collar and screamed, Then say the obvious things, you idiot. If this world really has a difficulty setting, then of course it's hell mode. And this is a mode where you can't save or load your data. It's absurd, it's ridiculous, and nothing ever goes my way. That's what life is. Who doesn't know that we're living in a brutal era? You intend to give up? You're just going to give up? Give a thumbs up and wait to be slaughtered? Is that it? No. We keep fighting until our last breath. I will keep fighting. I will keep strategizing and fighting until the very last moment. If you want to give up and die so easily, then cut your own throat. See, Ash pulled out a knife and held it out to Damian. Damian hesitated. No. Before Damian could react, Ash tossed the knife aside and leaned in close. But if you're too cowardly to do that, then become my firing pin. Stop seeking death, understand. The only thing you need to do is serve under me as your commander. Don't use having nothing left to live for as an excuse. You are my pawn. You are my key. You are my firing pin. That is what you need to do. That is what I need from you, Demian. Thanks to that speech, Ash unlocked a new skill, passive skill, Dauntless Commander. Ash immediately placed his hand on Damian's shoulder and activated the new skill. I order you to shoot that monster dead. Damian was finally mentally swayed. His gaze became steady, devoid of fear. Yes, my lord. I will follow your orders. While the two were having their moment, the artillerymen had loaded the ammunition successfully, but there was one problem. There was no way to cool down the cannon barrel. Without a second thought, Ash stepped forward and said he would hold the cannon barrel himself. The artillerymen hurriedly tried to stop him. Prince, it's too hot. My lord, if you touch that, a burn would be the best-case scenario. Ash remained unmoved and sat right next to the cannon barrel. To him, dying while fighting was better than dying pointlessly in the mouths of the monsters closing in. After preparing, Ash turned to Damian and asked if he was ready. Damian gripped the lever and said he can't see anything anymore. I can't even feel my hands. But Ash smiled brightly. It's okay, it's okay. At that moment, Damian looked more determined than ever. He had made up his mind to place his full trust in this commander, no matter how unreasonable the request might be. With his mental preparation complete, Ash used both hands to embrace the cannon barrel, using every last ounce of his strength to lift it off the ground. Seeing that the entire artillery crew rushed to help. Even with their arms burning, no one gave up struggling to complete the final shot, even if it cost them their lives. Suddenly, a giant spider monster appeared right in front, heading straight for the cannon. It seemed the Spider Queen had sensed the danger and sent her subordinates to stop this final shot, but it was all too late. Receiving the order to fire, Demian gritted his teeth, desperately activating his trait. His eyes glowed brighter than ever despite the blood, constantly trickling down. Carrying the faith of everyone, the cannon finally fired successfully. The projectile flew straight into the sky, piercing through the monsters in the way, carrying the hope of Ash and everyone else present on the battlefield.
The monsters swarmed in, but no one had the energy to fight back anymore. Ash looked up at the sky, tracking the shell as it flew far away. It hit. From the start, this had been an impossible mission. A shot straight at an enemy we couldn't even see. There was no way to hit the target. However, that shot hit the Spider Queen. She didn't expect the trajectory of the shell. She didn't expect the range of the shot. She didn't expect the hundreds and thousands of monsters in the path of that shell. It all felt like fate reenacting itself. The projectile flew straight at the Spider Queen, who was snarling and screaming in rage, and landed right on her head without deviating by even a centimeter. That shot blew the head of the Spider Queen to pieces. That was what Ash remembered before everything faded into darkness. A familiar notification popped up. "You're actually insane. How on earth did you win that?" It was a message from the first person who watched the stream. Ash just stared at the screen, unsure how to respond to the question of whether he planned to stream again. Ash was about to reply, but as he tried to recall what happened, he suddenly snapped out of his daze. Immediately, waves of agony washed over his entire body, confirming he was still alive. Ash wondered, "Where am I?" Just then, Lily's voice came from nearby. "Demian used magic to heal your wounds, Your Highness, but since your burns were quite severe, it will take quite some time for you to fully recover. You've been asleep for 4 days, Your Highness. I honestly thought you'd never wake up after that brutal fight against the Black Spider Army." Ash's eyes widened in shock as he looked down at the ground. "I'm still alive," Lily continued. "Thanks to your command, Your Highness the Spider Queen was killed in the final assault, and the Black Spider Army stopped immediately. You won, Your Highness." Hearing this, Ash felt a bit better. He looked out the window, watching the soldiers clearing the battlefield while Lily reported the current situation. "Reinforcements have reorganized. We've collected the bodies of our allies and finished off the remaining spiders. We're almost done cleaning up, Your Highness. Your arms, shoulders, and neck are badly burned. If you return to Crossroads, you'll have to go to the church, but even if they heal, there will still be scars." Ash looked at his bandaged arms and said that scars were better than losing his life. He himself could hardly believe he had survived such a hell mode stage. He then turned to Lily to ask about her condition. Lily placed her hand on the fabric covering her legs, her eyes filled with sorrow. "After I ran out of mana, a spider scratched my back. Luckily, the Spider Queen died right after, so I wasn't attacked further, but I think I sustained nerve damage in my lower back, so now I can't move my lower body at all." Ash wanted to offer comfort, but didn't know what to say. He stayed silent for a long time. Seeing his unease, Lily continued, "Please don't worry, Your Highness. Just being alive is more than enough. My lord, the survivors include 5 artillerymen, Lucas, Demian, myself, and Your Highness, that is all." Hearing this, Ash gritted his teeth and clutched his head in frustration. 9 people. The previous battles involved hundreds, but this time only 9. There must have been another way. I should have thought of a special strategy. There must have been a way to save more people. Suddenly, Lily reached out and took his bandaged, scarred arm. "Your Highness, you are not a god. In that situation, there was no way to save everyone. You did everything you possibly could." "Right," Ash said gloomily, noting that from the very beginning he was the one who led the troops to that place. Even though that's what the old Ash did, he still decided to take responsibility for it. At this moment, Lily chimed in to comfort him. The fact that those monsters became so numerous after many decades is something no one could have anticipated, so please don't be so hard on yourself. Everything you did was more than enough. Despite her words, the heavy burden of guilt in Ash's heart didn't lift. Just then, Lucas burst through the door, tears and snot streaming down his face. "Your Highness, I'm so glad you're awake. Does anything hurt? Should I call Demian right away?" That display of emotion is truly terrifying. Ash said he was holding up fine, then asked about Lucas's health. Lucas had just woken up and immediately put on his armor to run straight to Ash. He was extremely confident. "You know it, Your Highness. My greatest strength is my toughness." Of course, Ash knew that after all, this was the main character of this hellish game. After catching up, Lucas pulled out a stack of documents and began his report. "Your Highness, during this time I completed the casualty report. There were many we couldn't even recover, but I've collected everyone we could. Hearing this, Ash asked where the recovered remains were being kept. When he learned that everything was gathered at the northern part of the Vanguard base, Ash immediately stood up, demanding to go see them. Seeing this, Lucas and Lily tried to stop him, but it was to no avail. On the way, Ash ran into Demian, who was busy treating the wounded. They said he was the one treating them. He was running around. Didn't he see the path? Even this time, he worked so hard. Seeing Demian's bright, tireless smile, Ash felt a pang of guilt. Demian, this strategic success is thanks to you. If you want, I will reward you with enough money to live comfortably for the rest of your life so you'll never have to step onto a battlefield again. Since you're a mercenary, you can do whatever you like in the future. Demian replied, Your Highness, you once told me that I was your trump card. I want to know the origin. And of those monsters, who they are, where they are, why they were created, and why they must die. So please let me follow you, Your Highness. His gaze was steady without a hint of hesitation. Seeing this, Lucas smiled and glanced at his master. Having another loyal subordinate made a guard like him feel happy too. Of course, Ash wouldn't refuse. A character with game-breaking traits like that, you just have to keep them by your side. After that, a ceremony was held to show respect for those who sacrificed their lives. Standing before the sacred flame, Ash made a resolution. I know there was no better way, no better strategy. There is nothing more foolish than dwelling on what could have happened in the past. I chose a strategy, executed it, and this is the result. Then I must accept it, shoulder it, and move forward. As the funeral was ending, Ash ordered Lucas to reorganize and transport the fallen. Upon receiving the order, Lucas was slightly surprised. In Crossroads, thousands died every year. This was a world where funerals were more expensive than lives. Ash ordered them to be buried in the open field east of Crossroads, the place he chose as a cemetery, and to build a monument. Just like in the game. Not only that he specifically designated the last day of February every year as a day to honor these great sacrifices, Ash did all of this not just for them. Throughout the thousands of times he reset while playing this game for all the characters he had killed without hesitation, this was also an act of atonement. Ash looked straight into the flames and said firmly to Lucas, Lucas, I will not lose a second time. I will not fail a second time. Let's go back to the Crossroads headquarters. And so Ash's journey officially began from this point. After the scene, he received a mysterious reward from the system delivered directly into the player's inventory. Time continued to flow on. And just like that, Ash's journey officially begins. After the screen faded, he received a mysterious reward from the system deposited directly into his inventory. Time just kept ticking away. 3 days have passed since the troops set off to return to Crossroads. Everything felt so repetitive that Ash was gaping in boredom, asking Lucas over and over again if they had arrived yet. The answer he kept getting was always, We're almost there. While bored, Ash checked his system. Now he had to make an extremely important decision. After the tutorial, the player reaches level 5, and this is the time to choose a class. Looking at his attribute board, Ash was incredibly discouraged by his terrible stats. However, looking closely, he discovered something quite interesting. Even though the stats were boosted randomly, he could still choose any class just like in the game. But the problem was that on the last page, a class appeared that Ash had never seen before, Rookie Commander. What kind of job? Is this a reward for the Hell mode? Could it be a hidden class? At this moment, Ash thought about the only skill he received, Indomitable Commander. It was clearly telling him to become a commander. This skill can provide allies within a 10-meter radius with a shield that is immune to mind control pretty strong, but it's a bit trash in the early game. It isn't until the end of the game, when the mad battle magic appears, that this skill really shows its full potential. Ash carefully pondered. Choosing an unfamiliar class was too risky. This really was a difficult problem. He was getting a headache over what to choose when Lucas shouted that they had arrived. Ash immediately stuck his head out the window, eagerly gazing at the Crossroads Fortress. In real life, Crossroads is the name of the fortress at the southernmost tip of the Empire. It was built to stop monsters from constantly entering from the Black Lake to the south. At one time, it was the most important fortress of the Empire. But as monster incursions gradually decreased, troops were reassigned to other regions. Mercenaries then replaced them to fill the void. Former soldiers, waiting for retirement, or inexperienced rookies, those mercenaries were recruited regardless of nationality or skill. The Empire just needed people to stand guard. They just needed suicidal people.
More and more people arrived, and restaurants, inns, and banks gradually sprouted up in the fortress. A few decades passed, and the fortress slowly turned into a city. At some point, people stopped calling Crossroads a fortress and started calling it the Monster Defense Frontline, or Fortress City, mockingly calling the mercenaries who were blinded by money and sought their own deaths. There was another name for it, Road of Death, City of Tombstones. That's what they called it. Throughout the journey into the fortress, Ash kept gaping in amazement. This place is humanity's front line. I can't believe I used to look at this through a screen. It's much bigger than I imagined and more majestic than I thought. Anyway, I will be taking over this city. Wait. At this moment, Ash suddenly realized the atmosphere wasn't quite right. People gathered on both sides of the road, directing glares full of resentment at the carriage. Thinking back, Ash could partially understand the reason. After all, their newly appointed lord and commander had just killed all the militia and almost kicked the bucket himself. Suddenly, Ash let out a sly smile. He had prepared something to deal with this. Following the carriage were 400 black spider magic stones deliberately left exposed for everyone to admire. These magic stones were taken from high-level monsters, and so they were of very high quality. Just a rough calculation showed it was a mountain of money. The fortress wouldn't have to worry about money for a while. Ash sat in the carriage with an expression of extreme satisfaction. That's right. If I can clear an impossibly difficult stage, I should also receive at least that much loot. To make this game easier, I need to get close to the commoners. Right now, the people's trust in me is almost non-existent, but I know how to make them love and trust me. Get ready, be cooperative and decent, and I will be able to bribe their trust. Hey. Ash imagined this and laughed to himself like a total goof for the entire long road. It wasn't until evening that he reached the Lord's mansion. Looking up at the massive mansion, Ash gasped in amazement. Wow, this is where I'll live. The small house I used to stay in can't, possibly compare. I never expected to have such a dream house. Suddenly, a young man wearing glasses ran out of the house, talking nonstop. Oh, master, I'm so glad you're safe. Ash, I momentarily didn't remember this character from the game and asked who he was. The young man replied awkwardly, No, I can't call you master. Please forgive me, my lord. Ash didn't have any problem with the address. He could just call him master. Suddenly, the young man grabbed Ash's hand and rubbed it against his cheek. I was so worried you would get hurt. This poor servant had worried himself sick. The name of this guy who looked like he was dressed as a butler is Idle in this game. He is an NPC who manages the city and handles administrative work for Crossroads. Things like building infrastructure and system maintenance will probably be the same as in the game. Ash will complete the missions here with this person. After the greetings, Idle enthusiastically guided Ash into the mansion. Welcome back, my lord. I have prepared a hot bath and dinner for you. Please get some good rest. Walking inside, Ash still couldn't stop gaping in amazement. As a poor broke guy in his past life, he had never seen a house as magnificent and splendid as this. After coming back to his senses, Ash immediately asked if the soldiers had rested. According to Lucas's report, everyone had been given rest after the battle. After that, Ash also ordered Lucas to rest today and stop working. Lucas was about to give a myriad of excuses about guard duty, but Ash waved his hand. Enough, go get some rest. You can work tomorrow. With no other choice, Lucas I had to accept this day off. Sighing sadly, I understand, my lord. After that, Ash was led to the bathroom to enjoy a super-huge giant bathtub. Throughout the long, exhausting journey, Ash thought rewarding himself like this was reasonable. As he took off his clothes, he thanked Idle and gave him a day off just like everyone else. Right at this moment, the atmosphere suddenly changed. Idle seemed to turn into a completely different person. By the way, you did a great job, Rich Otaku. Hearing this name, Ash seemed to go numb. This was the name he used to stream with in his past life. How could anyone in this world know about it? Idle said while reaching out to close the door. Who could have known you would complete the tutorial like that? It far exceeded anything I could have imagined. Hearing that Ash was so angry, he gritted his teeth. Idle raised both hands to the sky and laughed loudly, introducing himself. Why would you have to hide it? Wait, that's right, I am the administrator. I'm an Idle.
before he could even finish, as slammed a fist into his mouth, sending him flying. "Administrator, you jerk. So he's the one who brought me here." Ace's anger kept boiling over, ready to explode from all the stress since arriving in this world. Suddenly, the idol knelt down repeatedly. "Calm down. Please, I'm so sorry, Riku. I never meant to drag you here so abruptly. But wait, this world, as didn't give a damn." He lunged forward, pummeling the guy mercilessly. After the beating, the idol was a swollen mess, kneeling obediently on the ground. As finally calmed down a little, he decided to be a bit more careful and probe for information. "Look, let's just cut to the chase. You're that administrator guy, mister, and you're actually in charge of this game. Or, this world." The idol didn't say much, just answered, "That's correct." That nonchalant reply made Ace's blood boil. He couldn't believe how the guy could talk about it so casually, as then asked why he'd been brought here. The idol first pulled out a handkerchief and started bawling his eyes out. "This world has a true ending. There's only one and no one has ever reached it. I've reset this world countless times, just to reach that ending, but I've never managed to get there." Hearing this, Az asked, "So you're asking for help from others, then?" Suddenly, the idol snapped his fingers, conjuring countless orbs of light. "To put it simply, yes, I restructured this world into a game, and let players from different worlds know about it. Many pioneers have used methods with great potential that no one had thought of before, but still no one could reach that true ending." The idol's eyes showed utter despair. He had seen countless endings for this world. It was reaching its limit. Seeing this, Az asked, "So even you don't know? A true ending? I don't even know if it exists." The idol looked straight at Az and declared, "Riku, you won't be able to reach the true ending, but you can achieve something no one else can." Hearing that, Az immediately thought of the hell mode that only he had conquered. He wondered if that was the reason. The idol explained that he'd concluded Az had the highest success rate, which was why he brought him here. Hearing that, Az exploded with rage, swinging his fist. "Why the hell did you bring me here, then? You kidnapped me. And on top of that, you forced me into that tutorial." The idol covered his face, trying to explain. It was just a bug, a game glitch. I didn't want it to happen either. Wait, let me tell you this. This is about the reward you'll get." Hearing the word reward, Az stopped to listen before deciding whether to hit him again. The idol conjured an image of a gift box. "If you reach the true ending of this world, I will grant you one wish," Az didn't know what was inside that box, but it sounded pretty tempting. The idol continued, blood dripping from both nostrils. "In other words, I'm basically God in this world. When you return to your real world, I will definitely send you a meaningful gift." Az was skeptical and asked again, "Anything, even say 10 billion won in cash?" Hearing this, the idol adjusted his glasses, acting cool. "Only 10 billion, that's nothing. I could even give you 100 billion. Want more?" That attitude made us even more furious. This jerk. He acts like I'm some kind of loser. Still faced with such an offer, Az was a bit tempted. It did sound interesting, to be fair. He would grant a wish, and there were many things Az wanted to do. Wait. I only have one wish that needs fulfilling. If this guy could actually grant it, then at that moment the idol smiled. "You have a wish you need to fulfill too, don't you, Riku? A wish even more precious than money. You gave up on that dream because you thought it was impossible, right?" Those words made Az realize something. This guy standing right in front of him, claiming to be God. He brought him here because he knew about him. He knew Az was full of regrets, that he always lived with that pain in his heart. The idol repeated once more that he would make that dream come true. Az immediately looked away, denying that the dream was over, but the idol insisted that if the wish was still in his heart, it would never disappear. Az asked, "If you have the power to grant any wish, why don't you fix it yourself?" The idol slumped to the ground, looking defeated. "Currently, my power is heavily restricted in this world. I'm just a normal person here. That's why I had to find someone to take my place." Az sighed, asking the most important question. "Let me ask you this, if I die here, what happens?" The idol replied without hesitation, "Then you die for real." Az could only curse under his breath. Now his life was on the line at every turn. "Then why don't you handle it yourself?" Ash lowered his head, feigning disappointment, and replied,
Right now, my divine power is severely restricted in this world. I'm basically just an ordinary human. Just a regular guy. That is exactly why I had to find someone to take my place, someone like you, my lord. Ash could only sigh, asking the most important question. Let me ask you this: if I die here, what actually happens to me, idol? Without a second of hesitation, the reply came, if you die, you're dead for good. Ash could only curse under his breath after hearing that. Now his life was on the line at any given moment. At this moment, the idol acted strangely mysterious, saying life is a high-stakes game of life and death with no save files and no reloading once it's over. In hell mode, you should be well aware of this, right? Ash felt that was true. That's just how this game is, no matter how many bizarre things happen. Death remains inevitable. The tension eased when the idol suddenly said it could send Ash back to Earth right now. Hearing that, Ash excitedly asked, "What, seriously, idol?" It explained, "I'm serious. To be honest, my original plan was to bring you here first and then ask for your opinion, but there's a hurdle. Please choose. Do you want to strive for the true ending for a chance to have your wish granted, or do you want to return to your peaceful days, the days where you don't have to worry about the dangers of death, essentially living a boring life? It's all up to your decision." Faced with these two choices, Ash fell silent for a long time. Normally, he would choose to go back immediately, but now he was torn between two paths. One was the wish he had been chasing for so long, and the other, Ash felt this was also worth a shot because he had the confidence. He had completed this game in hell mode, the hardest difficulty. Basically, he knew almost everything about this game. Completing it one more time. Why not? After long thought, Ash made his decision. Fine. I'll do as you wish. Hearing this, the idol shrieked with joy. Ash, however, was very serious about this decision, warning, "I've agreed to do it, so you better help me out properly. And once I reach the true ending, don't even think about forgetting to grant my wish." The idol was so happy it would accept any demand. "What else can I say? Just consider me your servant." Immediately, Ash gave his first order. From now until tomorrow morning, sell all the black spider magic stones. Seeing the idol hesitate, Ash began to boil with rage. "Why? Just think of me as your personal attendant." Ash immediately issued his first command. From now until tomorrow morning, sell every single one of those black spider magic stones. Seeing idol hesitate, Ash started to boil over. Why? It's a tradable item. You have to know how to sell it. The idol was a bit worried and quickly tried to find an excuse. The shops are all closed. Ash was about to lose it and loudly warned, "Shut your mouth and do exactly as I say, you jerk. I don't care if you stay up all night to sell them or sell them at dawn. I just need to know you'll finish the exchange before tomorrow. Do you hear me, you?" Losing all the dignity of a god, the idol asked, Understood, but you have 388 black spider magic stones. Just selling them at market price alone would net a huge sum of money. What are you planning to do with all that cash?" Ash simply said he needed to go somewhere, then wore a sinister smile. The next morning, Ash decided to try his luck at the Mercenary Guild. "Why don't I start with 100 gotcha pulls, heh heh heh." As for the idol, after a sleepless night, it finally exchanged all the black spider magic stones into cash, all for Ash to blow on gotcha. Just standing outside the Mercenary Guild, Ash could already feel the hustle and bustle of the place. Lucas felt it wasn't safe and planned to go in first, but what the hell? Ash just kicked the door wide open and shouted, "Everyone pay attention!" The atmosphere suddenly became unnaturally quiet. Those who were drinking were annoyed and screamed, "Who the hell are you looking for a death wish?" Ash didn't back down one bit. He strained his neck and shouted back, "What, you bastard? Who do you think you're talking to?" He walked over and grabbed the guy who had shouted by the hair, making him tremble in fear. "I am your future master. You're the one who wants to die, aren't you?" No one dared to oppose Ash's entrance, but whispers echoed non-stop. "That person is the third prince, right? Is that crazy Ash? I heard he killed all his soldiers at the front lines. But didn't he also wipe out all the spiders?" Ash couldn't care less what people said about him, but focused only on finding talent around here. The Mercenary Guild is where players can create new characters, and naturally, their influence varies depending on their rank. Ash scanned the room to see if there was anyone talented. Suddenly, a purple light caught his attention. Sitting at the bar, a woman with snow-white hair looked at him and
Smiled, "Welcome to the Crossroad Mercenary Guild, Your Highness." At first glance, Ash recognized her as an SR rank. He immediately walked over to strike up a conversation. "May I ask for your name?" The woman stood up and saluted like a soldier. "I am Jupiter. It is an honor to meet you." Hearing this, Ash was incredibly surprised. The Thunder Witch SR rank Jupiter. He couldn't believe she had arrived here already, but on the outside he acted as if he knew nothing. "I haven't seen this uniform before. Which country does it come from?" Jupiter touched the medal on her chest and introduced it. "This attire belongs to our ever-bright empire. You might not recognize it because this model is from a few decades ago." Hearing that, Ash asked, "So you used to serve the Empire?" As a former soldier, Jupiter was happy to introduce herself. "I served there for 30 years. I was even the commander of the 2nd Witch Squad. After retiring, I've been making a living as a mercenary." Ash continued with flowery compliments. "Retired. And you still sacrificed your body for your country. You truly are an exemplary soldier." Jupiter smiled and replied, "Not really, it's just that the pension wasn't enough to live on." "So, Your Highness, what brings you here?" Ash smiled and said, "What else would I be here for? Naturally to hire some useful mercenaries." Jupiter stopped acting and asked bluntly, "Are you sure you didn't come here to buy some bait to die in your place?" Hearing that, Lucas frowned and prepared to draw his sword to deal with the person in front of him for slander, but Ash stopped him in time. Jupiter was not afraid, and even gave a contemptuous smile at the rumors of the battle. "The rumors from the front lines have already reached here, Your Highness. It seems you've paid quite a heavy price for your incompetence, haven't you? Even though it's true that we're just lowly mercenaries who earn our living by fighting, we aren't idiots who go around digging our own graves. No, none of us want to throw our lives away at the hands of an inexperienced commander." Jupiter's words represent the sentiment of every mercenary here who wants to receive the payment. Forced to prove his capability, Ash smiles and stands up to face the mercenaries. "I understand. But listen to what I have to say. Aren't all of you here to sell your lives because you have no other way to make money? So isn't this the inevitable end for all of you? Then why are you suddenly afraid of dying? You aren't the idiots digging your own graves, are you?" That declaration sounded a bit ridiculous. "Damn you, Jupiter." Ash steps in close to Jupiter's ear and whispers, "That is right. Your past career was quite glorious, wasn't it? But didn't you get kicked out for secretly skimming off the military's funds? Isn't that the definition of digging your own grave? From corruption to smuggling goods to the enemy, when you were caught red-handed, you were kicked out and dishonorably discharged. Yet you're still proudly wearing that military uniform. How shameful!" As he delivered the insult, Ash recalled the information describing this character, Jupiter, the embodiment of corruption, a soldier rotten to the core, a veteran who doesn't deserve any respect. But her combat ability is no joke. A heroine who resembles a pirate more than a soldier, that is who this woman is. The Lightning Witch. Jupiter. Despite her anger, Jupiter calmly replies, "Your Highness, even if my end wasn't pretty, I am still proud to be a warrior of the Empire. Please watch your tongue." Not wanting to waste any more words, Ash cuts straight to the point. "That pride you speak of, how much would you sell it for?" Instantly, Jupiter radiates killing intent, glaring at Ash. Ash isn't fazed and repeats the question. "I'm asking, what will it cost to turn you into my hound?" Jupiter looks at him with disdain, saying she is very valuable, at least 100,000 ODL per year. As soon as the words left her mouth, Ash immediately throws out the figure 200,000. Hearing such a massive sum, Jupiter is so shocked that she drops the cigarette from her hand. The price Ash just offered is quite high for a mercenary, but he is the prince of the Empire and the lord of this city. Furthermore, he had also just sold nearly 400 magic stones. Squandering them, Number Ash is ready to pay any price to recruit an SR rank mercenary. Ash holds a stack of money in his hand and shouts, "Your fear of death, I'll buy it. I'll pay double your old salary right now. Any cowards who don't want to sell, your lives can go home. But if you want to become a true mercenary and make real money, then come to the vacant lot west of the crossroads tonight." After finishing up at the Mercenary Guild, Ash heads straight to the next location, the church. After undergoing
Treatment Ash's burns have fully healed, though they will leave faint scars. The one who performed the healing this time was scientist Maharita, a hidden heroine and top-tier healer. After meeting the specific conditions, Ash will recruit her to work for him soon. But that isn't the reason he came here today. Ash takes out a bag of money and places it on the altar.
Saintess, just as I contacted you previously. Maharita immediately understands and calls for everyone currently free at the church. Ash notices that Damien is also among them and seems to be adapting very well. Extremely satisfied, Ash smiles and says, "Let's proceed immediately. We have a lot to do today." It's not simple. That night, at the west of the crossroads, the funeral procession has already arrived. The soldiers stand in formation. The Empire's flag covers each coffin, accompanied by a large-scale choir. In a city where death is treated as something common and cheap, a funeral with full rites is hard to come by. More importantly, the compensation has been given to each family. Many are shocked by the number of casualties, and the news has spread from person to person throughout the city. The rumors will spread soon. Ash has no intention of sugarcoating it. He wants to show proper respect. These are frontline soldiers, warriors, famous for their noble duty to humanity. Ash stands on the podium and proudly declares, "I am the third prince and current Lord Ash Bonhader Everback." Hearing this, whispers begin to stir. In their eyes, the fact that a piece of trash like the third prince is the Lord is nothing but hell waiting to happen. Ash doesn't care and continues his speech. "I will be honest. The soldiers on the front lines, all of you will die. Every passing week, a series of new graves will spring up. In this cemetery and the funeral dirge will echo, but I assure you your deaths are worth more than your survival. The money to organize this funeral and the compensation is substantial. Almost half of the money we earned from the magic stones is being used for compensation. That's right. Death cannot become something common and cheap. That is why I will do my best to keep you alive. I will use every means to save you and utilize you on the front lines, so don't you dare die so easily. Survive and collect your salary from me. Don't make me pay for your funeral." Ash's speech ends. He doesn't know how the people feel about it. The excuses of an undeserving commander or the debauchery of a crazed lord. He doesn't care what they are thinking. He can only prove his point with the results that are to come, that in this harsh front line he deserves to be here more than anyone else. Ash wears a confident smile, ready to proceed to the next stage. All right then, let's crush Phase 1. According to the announcement, Phase 1 will begin in 3 days, and 1 hour after the funeral ends, Ash heads straight to the backyard of the mansion. When he and Lucas stand before a pile of stones, a system window suddenly appears. "Do you want to activate the teleportation gate?" As soon as Ash agrees, the stones suddenly float up and form a magical gate. Seeing something like this for the first time, Lucas is dumbfounded and shocked. "Your Highness, what is this?" Ash explains that this is the gate to the dungeon at the bottom of the lake, making Lucas even more terrified. In other words, this is the gate leading straight to the enemy's headquarters. Protecting the Empire is a mix of 2 genres, tower defense and dungeon crawling. This was even written on the game's cover. The phase where monsters storm the crossroads is the tower defense part, and between each phase, while the enemy is not attacking you, explore the dungeon at the bottom of the lake and find the origin of the monsters. Dungeon crawling, also known as free exploration. The alternation between the 2 genres is the basic structure of this game. Ash stares at the gate and ponders, so, it's possible to open this up before the first phase of the game. It's definitely hard, but it's not impossible. Sure, I struggled a bit during the tutorial, but starting like this is already a great start. I'm starting with a character that's basically a hack, Damien plus a long-range mage like Jupiter, not to mention a mountain of gold. Do I have a chance to pull this off? I'm damn sure I will. Ash then explained the game's rules to Lucas and told him to scout for enemies for the next phase. After hearing that, Lucas laughed confidently. "Understood, Your Highness. I shall prepare accordingly." Ash was left dumbfounded. Just like that. Lucas didn't understand anything, yet he questioned almost nothing. It wasn't just the prince, the man he'd served his whole life, suddenly changing. He also knew everything from the city's design to the location of the dungeon, despite being here for the first time. That alone was highly suspicious, yet Lucas still followed, without questioning a single thing. Isn't that too strange? Being too curious. Ash decided to ask directly, "Hey, don't you have any questions?" Lucas suddenly stared, straight at Ash and spoke, "Your Highness, my lord." Ash was so terrified he was breaking into a cold sweat, barely daring to breathe, but Lucas simply performed a knight's salute. "I will only follow your orders. I have no questions. I am your sword and your shield. I only slash and block according to your commands." Looking at him, Ash realized immediately that it wasn't that he didn't have questions. It was that he trusted him more than any doubt in his heart. "Lucas, you bastard. I'll definitely reward you well." Soon after, Ash headed straight for the portal. "Done. All right, Lucas, are you ready to head into the lion's den?" With a resolute gaze, Lucas replied, "I would walk through fire and water for you, your highness." Receiving this answer, Ash smiled with satisfaction. Without hesitation, he chose the lake shore as the teleportation point. As the two stepped through the gate, the pile of rocks behind them immediately collapsed as if nothing had ever happened. During the teleportation, a game tip window popped up, making Ash boil with rage. "What the hell is this? Stop giving me these useless tips. Don't act all helpful now." A moment later, a portal appeared on the lake shore, transporting Ash and Lucas to their destination. Ash looked toward the lake, recalling the information about this place. The Black Lake is the source of the monsters, a hellish realm that births nightmares. It's a dungeon located at the southern end of the world. Just then, Lucas warned him about a phenomenon in front of them. The surface of the lake began to boil, then split in two, creating a path on the lake bed. From deep within the earth, countless sets of armor rose up, moving like zombies. Seeing this, Ash's eyes widened in shock. "Damn it, don't tell me those are living armors of all the monsters. Why do I have to run into them? Whatever I meet in the first phase doesn't really matter. Goblins are fine. Orcs are fine. Even wyverns wouldn't be a problem. But among all those low-level monsters, there are so many I wanted to avoid, and I get these. Damn this game's rotten luck." Ash was so frustrated. He was pulling his hair out, cursing the hell out of this game. Lucas, meanwhile, was on high alert, his hand already on his sword hilt, ready to fight at any moment. Those guys must be the enemies we have to face this time. Suddenly, a notification window popped up, updating the enemy info living armor soldiers level. A 5. Quantity 1053. Mysterious boss quantity 1. Seeing the number over 1000, Ash seemed to freeze. Seeing this, Lucas approached to check on him. "Your Highness, are you all right?" "No, you don't look well. Where are you feeling uncomfortable?" Ash was drenched in cold sweat, worrying about the near future. "I think I said these exact words during the tutorial phase. Damn it, I'm done for again." 741, that was the number of times he had reset the game. Every reset had a different reason, but when the living armor appeared as the monster for that phase, he didn't hesitate to reset. Living armor is a name implying a monster created from armor. Their bodies contain specters inside. In short, they are resistant to most physical damage. When you start getting more equipment, they're easier to defeat, but right now everything is terrible. If that thing hadn't appeared, damn it, it's like someone is intentionally doing this. Is someone trying to stop me from playing this game? Seeing the monsters advance toward the shore, Ash immediately ordered a retreat. There were only 3 days left until the first phase began. Ash had no choice but to do his absolute best to defend. As soon as he got back to the mansion, Ash shouted, "Summon Idle! What's the defense status of the city?" Idle read his notes and reported that there were a total of 526 people available for the front lines. Hearing that, Ash exploded in anger. "What I've been recruiting for 100 times in a row and I only got 500 people. Idle explained that during the training process, most of the soldiers were weeded out. Ash was grinding his teeth so hard they squeaked, cursing, "Damn it, you stupid bastards!" After it calming down, Ash asked if they could recruit any more people. Idle replied that he had already hired every mercenary in the city, so no more could be recruited. Ash immediately ordered them to send messages to other cities to recruit more soldiers with double the weekly pay. Not stopping there, he also wanted to send a message to the royal palace stating that the monsters were beginning to rise and requesting as many reinforcements as possible. Idle was writing it down, but suddenly stopped. "Master, is that really okay?" Ash understood what Idle was warning him about. If he requested reinforcements from the Empire now, the future events in the game would be ruined. But Ash had no other way to
do anything anymore. He wanted to survive. Ash tore at his hair, saying, "Just send the message. It's the player's decision." Idle happily took the order. As he was walking away, Ash suddenly remembered something, turned around, and commanded, "Oh, and one more thing, gather every carpenter, stone, mason, blacksmith, and alchemist in this city. Go, don't send them conscription notices." Hearing this, Idle warned him, "But if you do that, the magic stone production line will be halted." Ash couldn't take it anymore, and leaned his face close, grinding his teeth. "This city is about to turn into dust. Why are you still worried about magic stone production? Stop all production and bring them here." Idle faced with this look. With a quick, intimidating glare to make them shut up and get back to work, Ash returned to his room, letting out a long, weary sigh. This game, the difficulty level is just absurd now. He was already past the point of turning back, and he didn't have the luxury of time anyway. With the game's difficulty spiking, he had to produce something of real value and fast, so he decided to gamble. Ash opened the system interface and accepted the class transfer to Beginner Commander. No sooner had he clicked Accept than a flurry of celebratory effects filled the air. Congratulations, Ash has become a Beginner Commander. Just as he was trying to process what was happening, a sharp stabbing pain pierced his heart and a crimson window popped up. Debuff applied minus 50% growth stats. Before Ash could even process the shock, a second debuff hit. Debuff applied minus 50% item proficiency. Ash absolutely snapped. He lunged at the system window as if he wanted to tear it to shreds. What the hell? This isn't funny at all. What is this nonsense? Damn it! What kind of class starts off by gutting all your stats like this? Are you trying to scam me, you piece of garbage, Idle Guide? I'm gonna kill you. Ash grabbed a fire poker from the fireplace, ready to have it out with the idol right then and there. But just then, a flurry of notifications appeared. You have unlocked Attack Totem, Defense Totem, and Super Buff Royal Decree. System synchronized power is now active. Just as his beastly rage was peaking, these notifications stopped him in his tracks. Seeing these for the first time, he curiously tapped for details. Attack/defense totems. When present on the front lines, troops gain plus 5% attack and plus 5% defense. Super buff. All commander-provided buffs are enhanced by 1 level. Royal Decree. Your commands are transmitted with absolute clarity and precision on the battlefield, allowing subordinates to fight exactly as the commander intends. Now Ash finally understood why he'd been hit with those debuffs earlier. He calmed down and carefully studied the new features. Synchronized power bonuses are increased based on the class combinations of party members. A new skill, I should try out different combinations. This system was actually incredible. For a hardcore gamer, this class was perfectly satisfying. Ash was extremely pleased with his choice. He calmly put the fire poker back, went to bed, and slept soundly. The next day, Ash summoned the idol. Explain yourself. What is the meaning of this idol? The idol explained nervously. Well, sir, since no one was responding to the military draft, I, in my haste, brought the guild leaders here. It sounded fancy, but in reality, it was just kidnapping. At that moment, the leaders of the blacksmith, carpenter, mason, and alchemist guilds roared in fury. What kind of nonsense is this? How dare you drag us here like this? Can you even take responsibility if our production lines collapse? Even if you are royalty, you can't just do whatever you want. There's a time and place for everything. Seeing this, Ash panicked. Oh great, they're actually furious. He could see the veins bulging on their necks as they screamed. His first instinct was to apologize, but his thoughts and actions took a sharp turn. Ash began to emanate a dark, ominous aura, his own veins pulsing with rage. You want to die? Where do you think you are shouting like this? Do you have any idea who I am? As the prince and lord of the city you live in, if I summon you, you should be honored to drop everything, even if it means crawling here on your knees, and that still wouldn't be enough. But you dare to ruin my mood. You really are tired of living, aren't you? The guild leaders finally realized who they were dealing with and turned tame as puppies. We apologize. This is the first time a prince has become the lord of this city. That bastard-like reputation of Ash's was actually coming in handy. The negotiations proceeded smoothly after that. Seeing the guild leaders' jaws drop in shock, Ash reiterated, I will give you 20% of all magic stones collected by the military at cost price. If a direct supply chain is formed, won't you be the ones benefiting? Let's cooperate. Whenever I issue an order, war supplies must be prioritized. Naturally, I will pay you fairly for your production. Isn't this a fantastic deal? Using money and power as his cards, Ash had reeled them in. This was all he could do for now. Hearing about the money, all the guild leaders were thrilled and readily agreed. The first part of Ash's plan was a success. With only 61 hours left until the first stage, the sound of armored boots echoed outside. Ash's voice rang out heavy and somber. "I'm sure you've all heard the news from Lucas. Outside, the monsters are screeching." Inside the room, he delivered the report. To be more precise, the 1,000-year armored soldiers are marching toward this city. Estimated arrival is in about 2 days. Ash folded his arms, watching them silently. He could practically see the words "we're doomed" written on their terrified faces. Lucas asked cautiously, "What do you need us to do, Your Highness?" Ash intertwined his fingers, his expression grim. "Utilize everything we have. From now on, I will give specific instructions to each of you." At the lavish palace, they quietly discussed tactics. Lucas was appointed commander-in-chief. He showed clear determination. "I will do my absolute best," Ash cautioned him carefully. "The soldiers might be restless. You need to keep them in check." Lucas stood tall. "Understood, sir." Just then Lily spoke up weakly. She sat in a wheelchair, frail and pale. She said tiredly, "In my opinion, I think—" Ash didn't give her a chance to refuse. "I'm sorry, Lily, but I really need your help right now." He smiled reassuringly. "You won't be on the front lines, so don't worry." She was curious. "Then what should I do?" After being assigned her role, Lily was tasked with overseeing the repairs for the defense totems. She nodded thoughtfully. "I understand." Ash felt a twinge of guilt. "Sorry for doing this to you, Lily. It looks like you won't get any rest and you'll be dedicating the rest of your life to this city." Jupiter flicked her cigarette and spoke up. "Can I ask one thing, Your Highness?" She brought up the annual salary he had mentioned. "If a mercenary like me performs well, will it go up?" Ash cursed the money-grubbing old woman under his breath. He read her system stats, obsessed with money, especially gold. Equipped with gold digger trait. Cannot be unequipped. It was exactly the same as he'd seen in the game. Damn it. But he answered cheerfully, "Of course! I will increase your pay based on the results you deliver." Jupiter grinned. "Then you'd better start thinking about next year's raise, Your Highness." She was confident, having been appointed captain of the strike force. "You won't find another mercenary as capable as me." After that, Ash called Damien in and handed him a crossbow. "Take this, Damien. I've prepared it for you." Damien hesitated, not daring to take it. The details of the crossbow appeared. Standard crossbow level 10. Attack 10 to 15, durability 30/30. "My lord, you won't find a mercenary as capable as me anywhere else." Afterward, Ash called Damien over and gifted him a crossbow. "Take it, Damien, I prepared this just for you." Damien hesitated, afraid to accept it. "Your Highness." The detailed stats of the crossbow appeared: normal grade crossbow level 10, attack power 10 to 15, durability 30/30. Since this is the final bonus, Damien will be the long-range marksman for this battle. He happily grips his weapon, saying, "I'll give it my best if that is your wish, my lord." As watches him but feels uneasy about the way he holds the crossbow, it doesn't look very professional. Yet seeing how accurately he fires the energy cannon, he thinks, perhaps, "I'll get the hang of it quickly." As suddenly notices that Damien isn't wearing his glasses today. "Where are your glasses?" Damien looks a bit dazed when asked. "Have you decided to stop wearing them, Damien?" He scratches his head shyly and replies, "Actually, my eyesight is so good that I was wearing those glasses on purpose to limit my vision." He smiles and adds, "But now my eyesight is very important, so I decided to take them off." As looks at everyone as they have been assigned their tasks and sighs in relief. Idle laughs playfully. "Thank goodness I was worried about the glasses-wearing character trope, but it seems he isn't. That favored by Az because Az is glaring at him with a murderous look." "Can you be quiet for a second?" After the defense meeting at the eastern walls of Crossroad, the workers are busy repairing the wall. Josh and Ben rush over to greet the prince. "Welcome, my lord." As waves his hand, skip the formalities. "All right, I'm here. How is the castle wall?" Josh looks at the rotting wall and reports timidly, "No." "It's not good. It's been neglected for a long time." Hearing this, Az falls silent, squinting without a word. Then he turns to question Idle, "If this place is called a fortress city, Then isn't repairing the wall the most basic task of all? Why did you let this place fall into such a state? Idle replies fearfully, because we didn't have the funding. He explains that because monster sightings have been decreasing, magic stone production has dropped, so the former castle lord cut the budget. As clutches his head in utter disbelief, "Isn't the whole purpose of this fortress to stop monsters?" He mutters to himself. The castle's anti-monster function is fading because the income from those monsters dropped. How ironic. Immediately after he gives an order. Use every bit of budget and material we have. Reinforce and repair it until it couldn't possibly be better. Understood. Josh and Ben salute like soldiers, and reply in unison, "Yes, my lord." As waves them off, "Get to work. The monsters are almost on top of us." Next, he and Idle go to the lumberyard to check the progress. Looking at the scattered materials, as instructs. "I'm sure you've heard about the situation. What you need to do. Over the next 3 days," he smiles mysteriously, "is a wooden wall." Kin asks, "Pardon?" As gestures wildly describing the wall, "A wooden wall. Don't you get it? A wall this high, understand? To block their path." Kin understands a little, but he thinks it's not feasible. "I'm sorry to say this, my lord, but the monsters will easily get past a wooden wall. It's hard to expect much defense from it." As changes his phrasing to be simpler. "What I need isn't a sturdy wall to stop them completely." Kin is even more confused. "Pardon. Then what?" As grins. "What you need to do is just build the wooden wall as I say." He raises his hands high to describe the height of a really tall wall. Then he gestures sideways to describe the width and sturdiness. Finally, Az concludes, "Basically just that damn type of wall." However, Kin, being a bit slow, just stares blankly. "What do you mean?" The atmosphere turns silent for a moment. A slight wave of awkwardness radiates from Az. Frustrated, he snaps, "Fine, fine. Stop asking and get to work." With 2 days left. Lucas is busy with troop reviews, Demian is practicing with his crossbow, and Jupiter is lazing around under a tree. She doesn't seem to be preparing anything at all, as is constantly furious with Idle over the poor facilities. Lily's complexion has gradually improved. She and Cassidon are studying defensive totems. And just like that, the preparation is complete. Time passes, red flags wave, and the wall is finished. Though it still doesn't look very pretty, it should be enough to withstand the monsters. The system notifies stage 1 30 minutes until start. The countdown begins 31 minutes and 24 seconds. A soldier with binoculars observes the forest not far from the stronghold. Suddenly, shadows emerge from the woods walking toward the fortress. The defending soldiers immediately shout the alarm. They're here. Right after the roar of war drums sounds along with shouts, they're charging a vast army of soldiers in armor. They orderly line up and advance step by step powerfully, never knowing how to retreat. Immediately after, the whole horde swarms out of the dense forest. In the city, drums and horns blare, signaling. The battle is about to begin. Embers are lit to boost morale, and fire arrows can be used if needed. Az's voice echoes across the ramparts. There is nothing to be afraid of. He stands on the wall, personally commanding this battle, as boosts the army's morale. They are just a bunch of small fries. In reality, facing an army of living armor is the worst tragedy in the first half of the game, but regardless, they currently have to try and overcome this battle. He shouts loudly, "We are the strongest army in the south of the kingdom." In reality, his army is basically just a bunch of ragtag mercenaries composed of old men who have lost their edge and recruits who don't know a damn thing. As continues to lie with wide eyes, the hydro magic spells are ready. We have prepared all the most advanced equipment. In reality, no matter how much money you have, you can never be fully equipped. He looks at his army. Victory is within our grasp. There is nothing to worry about. Yet Az is still very confident, bragging without blinking an eye. The cannons are put into use. He ends his grand speech with one sentence: "Everyone fight with all your might so that tonight we can all sit together and raise a cup of victory." On the battlefield, only one person is worried. Far away, dark clouds roll in and lightning crackles over the heads of the armored soldiers. Az hides a smug smile, thinking, just as planned. Jupiter, Half the strength of this battle depends on you. In the woods, Jupiter chomps on a cigarette. Her eyes flash with deadly lightning. Command a group of soldiers to follow, let's fight. The rookie mage, whom is hired at an exorbitant price, has already started acting. On the battlefield, the clattering of horse hooves, all monsters have a single goal. Jupiter leads the group, urging the horses to run fast. Their goal is to kill the humans standing before them. If there are no obstacles, they will move to kill the nearest human. In other words, their direction of travel was obvious, so the traps were extremely effective, and everyone didn't have enough time to fully grasp them right away. Seeing them fall into the traps, he immediately ordered, "Do it now, Jupiter. That's enough." The clouds in the sky thickened, thunder rumbled, and lightning flashed as Jupiter summoned. A ball of lightning in her hand, flashing a bloodthirsty smile. Like that, she quickly channeled a powerful bolt of lightning down onto the traps. "Let me earn my keep." A golden bolt bright as the sun struck the pit. The first skill. Floating white lightning. The armored soldiers were jolted by the blast. Even as armored souls, these bolts were quite concerning. The first skill passed, and thick white smoke had billowed up as if someone had just lit incense for their ancestors. The armored soldiers were barely scratched. They scrambled back up, their spirits inside the armor, glancing around. Their eyes flashed with a deadly light. Jupiter shouted angrily, "Where are you looking? Learn to respect your elders, you wretched monsters, now." After that, another bolt was prepared to strike. After the first skill, the armored soldiers had been marked by the lightning. Ash watched and silently thought, "That pattern, that's Jupiter's mark." She held a cigarette in her hand. The golden lightning grazed it, lighting the tip. Jupiter smiled playfully, gathering a blue lightning ball in her hand. "Dinner. Isso is armor roast tonight, kids," after saying that she threw the lightning ball. Jupiter commanded, "Eat slowly. Armored soldiers, listen closely." Second skill, floating white lightning. Weinstein. On the ramparts, the soldiers cheered loudly. Ash recalled the mechanics of her abilities. Enemies marked by the first skill would be finished off by the second. At this moment, the system displayed a notification. Enemy casualty count is over 50. The number was jumping at a dizzying speed. Standing on the wall, watching the battle far away, Ash silently praised, "Great job, Jupiter." Thick white smoke rose from the pit, showing that the enemies had been grilled, but regardless. The grilled armor shattered, scattered everywhere on the ground. Immediately after, they were trampled by the feet of their own comrades. The number of monsters to kill was 1,000. The army of armored soldiers continued to push forward. That last attack was nothing more than a small scratch. Ash gave the order, "Retreat, Jupiter." Immediately she signaled the new recruits to leave, and so the group of 5 urged their horses back toward the city. The armored soldiers relentlessly pursued. Jupiter ran in front and directed her team, "Run, run, recruits, don't look back, just keep running." Ash had the best vantage point. He watched them lure the armored soldiers along, feeling a bit happy and excited, just as planned. He turned to give new orders. "Do as I said, everyone, hold your positions." Below the battlefield, Becker was left trailing behind. The armored soldiers were right on his heels. He spurred his horse to run faster, telling himself, "Just a little further, just a little further." Jupiter led the way, pointing out the direction inside. "Come on, Becker." Running behind, trying to pick up the pace, they followed every move. Wooden walls were erected. Jupiter's team lured the armored soldiers into the narrow passage they had built with the wooden walls. On the ramparts, Ash clenched his fists and praised, "Great movement, Jupiter." The wooden walls gradually closed in on the armored soldiers. The gaps between the walls, it became narrower and narrower. They looked up and stood stunned for a moment. "Welcome. This is your first time facing a wall formation like this, right?" Ash smirked. "What will you choose?" He silently challenged them. "Will you move aside or destroy them?" Jupiter very skillfully maintained enough distance so that the enemies could always see her team, neither too far nor too close. Ash knew exactly what their choice would be. Regardless of the situation, your choice is already too obvious. Kill the humans in front of you. The army of armored soldiers continued to advance into the narrow path Ash had laid out. "That's right, you stupid monsters. If they have blocked your path, you'll break the walls and charge forward." They were crowding into a tight space. He raised his hand to signal everyone to prepare to fire. The ranks of armored soldiers were narrowing and they were losing their ability to maneuver. Ash spoke up. "We've waited long enough, my soldiers." He waved his hand and laughed loudly. "Don't hold back fire." Following his order, the cannons roared, firing shells. The thundering explosions echoed. No one knew how many shells they had fired. Red and yellow sparks flew toward the battlefield, heading to the narrow path where the armored soldiers were crowding together. They barely reacted, only staring as the shells fell. Boom! The explosion wiped out a group of armored soldiers instantly. These were the basics of defensive game tactics. Cannonballs rained down, exploding violently, destroying many enemies. Control the road. This is the killing zone. Ash continued to order, "Fire, keep firing." Damien brought his crossbow to the side of the third prince. On the ramparts, he expressed his inner concern. "If it keeps going like this, I don't know if it's enough." Looking at the smoke and fire below, Damien thought the monsters wouldn't be able to cross that boundary. But Ash didn't think so. "No, not yet." No sooner had he finished speaking than the armored soldiers began to deploy defenses. Their reaction was a bit slow. Only now did they simultaneously use the shields in their hands. Their shields looked sturdy, blocking a fair amount of damage from the cannonballs. Ash had obviously predicted this. Exactly, there's no way it would end just like that. These persistent bastards, damn it! But he had anticipated this and was fully prepared. "You bastards!" Ash ordered. "Lily, activate it." She responded, "Yes, Your Highness, starting the gravity field artifact." The purple artifact gradually radiated. Blinding light. Patterns formed a circle surrounding the artifact, helping to concentrate energy more effectively. Two mages stood on either side, activating the artifact. They announced in unison, "Artifact is being activated." A corresponding purple gravity field appeared around the armored squad. The defensive gravity shields hampered their advance, making their bodies heavy. Ash immediately seized the opportunity. "They're moving slower now. Lucas, take action." "Yes, Your Highness." The archer units were ready. Giant crossbows that required 2 operators appeared on the walls. The archer teams pulled the crossbows into position one by one. Lucas held his sword high, aiming for the soul core in the center of their chests. "Load!" He swung his sword forward with a clear command, "Fire!" The archer group let loose. The arrows whistled through the air. Understood, fire. The destructive power of these giant arrows. It's incredibly powerful. It pierces through thick shields and tears right through the living armor soldiers. The vanguard defense line is dropping like flies' arrows, slamming through helmets and piercing right through them. The sole weakness inside the armor means they're done for. Ace watches the battlefield with satisfaction, causing massive damage with both barrages at once, then finishing them off with his constructs and ballista. All right, it's going exactly to plan. But man proposes, God disposes. Suddenly, a soldier rushes up to report, "Your Highness, the monsters are moving around the wooden walls." Ace is startled. "What did you say?" He'd been so focused that he hadn't noticed the living armor soldiers were indeed flanking the wooden walls. Ace grinds his teeth, cursing himself he'd anticipated this. But he hadn't thought there would be so many of them. He immediately orders his special operations team at the base of the wall. "Jupiter, I'm assigning you to that squad of living armor pushing the right flank of the castle. Handle them, stop them, and use hit-and-run tactics." She takes a drag of her cigarette and accepts the order. "As you wish." Jupiter leads her squad, whipping her horse into a gallop. "Let's get to work. Move." The armor soldiers see her and charge. She gathers lightning in her hands and unleashes a powerful strike. "Eat this." Seeing the lightning flash on the right flank, Ace feels a bit relieved. Good, Jupiter has held that side. Only the ones on the left flank are left. He turns to the young man beside him, Demian. He jumps. "Ready, Demian? It's your turn." Ace points to the left flank. "Shoot down the monsters attacking from the left." Demian nods quickly. "Understood." He takes a deep breath to steady himself, and immediately his eyes sharpen. He notches an arrow, grips his crossbow tight, and his hand gently releases the trigger. The arrow flies with unstoppable speed. The arrow has pinpoint accuracy. It streaks straight toward a monster charging forward, slamming into its helmet. The creature shudders a few times, and its soul leaves its body. Literally. The armor, no longer controlled by a soul, crashes to the ground. On the ramparts, Demian cheers, I hit it. Ace silently praises him. So this is the evil eye, to shoot down the soul core of a phantom with just a regular bow. How terrifying will this overwhelming talent become once he masters it? With the center as the main point of attack, Jupiter handles the monsters on the right, and Demian handles the defense on the left. The system announces over 450. Isunde monsters defeated, and the number is rising. Ace and his team have almost cleared 500. He smiles, satisfied, silently calculating. At this rate, I guess everything will go smoothly. Until the boss monster decides to show up at least. Even though things get a bit tight occasionally, all this careful preparation is truly worth it. But he hadn't. He even had time to celebrate before a change occurred. The souls, after dying, suddenly turned into small streams of energy. These energies slowly flew up into the sky. Ace widens his eyes. What the hell? There wasn't anything like this in the game. At this moment, the system announces they have defeated 500 monsters. That energy swirls in the sky as if molding something. Gradually, the face of a giant demon appears, covering the sky. Ace breaks into a cold sweat, gritting his teeth to suppress the fear in his heart. System alert, stage 1, level 25. Ghost Knight. Total level 1, 520 living armor soldiers. But 500 defeated. Ace realizes its identity. The monster leading the living armor army, a Ghost Knight. This thing is the source of power for the entire Living Armor Legion. The Legion itself is already very strong, but even if they defeat them all, they'll run into the second obstacle, the boss monster. But Ace and the others haven't even defeated all the living armor yet. Why has it appeared already? The Ghost Knight has manifested, but it's still holding back. It hasn't created an aura of disadvantage, nor does it seem to be preparing for a fierce attack. It just floats motionless in midair. However, this isn't a game anymore. This is reality. The soldiers scream in terror. What is that? Just by appearing suddenly in the sky, it's enough to terrify every soldier. Ace angrily grinds his teeth. Damn it. This is the difference between war. Between humans and monsters. The primal fear before the manifestation of a grotesque creature, just the sight of that monster alone has scared the soldiers to death, and it's shattered their initial morale. Furthermore, it's not just the humans who are scared. Jupiter's warhorse panics and rears up. She can't control her horse anymore. The horse thrashes and Jupiter loses her balance. She's thrown by her warhorse, slamming her head against the ground. Not far away, a group of armor soldiers is inching closer. The sound of chaotic footsteps and noise rings out. Damn it! The group of mercenary recruits immediately appears. To stop the armor soldiers from reaching Jupiter, John temporarily take command. Everyone get into position and protect the mage. Ace is extremely worried. Jupiter is a key force. In stage 1, and the hero team is in danger. Lucas hurriedly suggests, Your Highness, we must use cannons and artillery to provide cover for Jupiter's team. However, Ace refuses. No, if the dead zone disappears, even more enemies will appear. Lucas is completely confused by his decision, but Your Highness, Ace doesn't listen, and keeps his eyes on the battlefield. The soldiers are completely panicked by the appearance of the boss monster. The cannons and catapults have stopped firing, and the seamless defensive line has immediately fallen. He shouts orders. Quickly, focus on restoring the dead zone. The soldiers have all lost their minds. On the battlefield, they must follow the commander's orders. Lucas strictly complies. Understood, Your Highness. Ace furrows his brows, grinding his teeth. I'm sorry, Jupiter. Don't give up. On the battlefield below, Jupiter startles awake. She's confused. Where am I? She reaches up to hold her head. A throbbing, wet sensation on her head makes her grimace. She brings her hand down to look. It's blood. Jupiter silently curses herself. Damn it! What am I doing at this age? John runs in front of her and shouts, Countess Jupiter! Can you hear me? We have to go. Countess Jupiter, by now is more alert and realizes she's in the middle of the battlefield. The elite guards are blocking the monsters to protect her. Jupiter clutches her injured eye and struggles to stand. What kind of damn situation is this? It seems now is not the time to lie. On the ground. John says the rescue team will be here soon. We just need to survive until... Before he can finish, a monster with a spear lunges at him. John quickly realizes the danger. His eyebrows knit together tightly. He turns and swings his spiked mace into the monster's head. The monster is knocked back a distance, but it stabilizes its body. Its helmet tilts a little, but the monster is still alive, and it looks like it's been enraged. John curses angrily. "Damn it! Even after a hit like that, you're still alive!" Jupiter suddenly freezes. She shouts, "Recruit behind!" Behind you." But it's too late. The spear pierces through John's body. He spits out a mouthful of blood. Pain spreads through all his limbs. He looks back in despair. John didn't even have time to blink. He was sure he'd already wiped out all the monsters nearby. But behind him, a living suit of armor had been sliced in half, its hands still gripping the spear that had run him through. He couldn't move. He was nothing but a sitting duck for the rest of the beasts. Two more living armors raised their weapons to strike. John screamed his final words, "Save me, watching this happen right in front of her." Jupiter gritted her teeth. "I'm going to mince every single one of you bastards." She reached out to summon lightning, only to realize there wasn't a single spark left. Jupiter was furious at her own helplessness. Damn it! She couldn't control her magic right now. Not far away, Gia was surrounded by the monsters. She was sobbing, shouting desperately, struggling to get away. But her fate was sealed, as multiple spears pierced her body and she bled to death right there. Tin, a mercenary holding a shield in their squad, saw his comrade meet such a bloody end and was paralyzed with terror. Tin screamed and dropped his shield to run for his life, but the monster wouldn't let him go. It held a sharp spear in its hand and hurled it forward. As the monster fell, Tin was too busy running blindly to realize the danger closing in from behind. The spear pierced right through the rookie's body. This small defensive line, consisting of only a few members, was wiped out in an instant. Jupiter sniffed the air, the stench of the living armors, the rot of rusted metal, the smell of corpses, the scent of the dead. As her stamina slowly returned, she managed to gather a bit of electricity. "You belong at the bottom of a lake," she hissed, veins popping on her face. She was clearly pushing herself to the limit for this one attack. "Why? Can't I just be an old lady and collect my paycheck in peace?" She swung her arm and lightning slammed down onto the living armors, incinerating them and sending their souls to the afterlife. Jupiter gasped for air, struggling. This wasn't even a quarter of her normal strength. She was completely drained, yet the legion of living armors was still closing in. She whispered to herself, "We're doomed." Jupiter looked at Becker, the last rookie in the squad. "Run," she commanded. He looked confused. "Huh? What?" She didn't want to see anyone else die, so she told Becker to run. "At least someone from our squad should survive. I'll use my magic to buy time, so go now." Becker, full of integrity, retorted, "I can't just leave. This is the best I can do. You're a mage." Jupiter was stunned. "What?" Becker stood in front, blocking the path of the living armors, and shouted, "The second rule of survival for a mercenary is to always stand next to the squad's mage." He analyzed the situation. "Instead of running, I have a higher chance of survival if I support you." Jupiter stared at him for a second, speechless. The young mercenary's strategy actually worked. He didn't try to kill the armors. He just pushed them back with his long staff, increasing the distance. Becker shouted his strategy to Jupiter. "I'll do whatever I can to hold them off, so you just focus on preparing your next spell." Demian had provided support from the castle, but it still wasn't enough to stop the enemy. The moment Jupiter gathered enough mana to fire a beam of light, the young mercenary's body was pierced by 100 spears. When Becker fell, she screamed in agony, "You bastards!" At the same time, a powerful bolt of lightning crashed down from the sky, taking out the monsters. If she could have gathered the energy just a bit faster, could she have saved Becker? She was too old to have to watch another death like this. Jupiter looked at the dying Becker and asked, "Hey, rookie, what's the first rule of survival?" For a mercenary, he didn't understand why. She was asking him this right now, but he still tried to answer. "Don't take any job. That costs you your life." The light in his eyes faded. Becker had shed a tear as he thought of his mother. "Mom." Dark clouds gathered over the battlefield. Jupiter looked at the living armors charging at her and muttered to Becker, "Your survival rules are all wrong, rookie. You can't be a mercenary if you live like that." Her hand began to crackle with lightning. Her anger rose. "If you want to be rich, Jupiter threw a punch. If you want fame..." The powerful lightning-charged fist sent a monster to hell. She roared, "Just take the dangerous jobs and earn as much money as you can." She dodged left, slipped right, her lightning fists taking out monster after monster, smashing them to pieces. Her words echoed across the battlefield, "And stay as far away from mages as possible, Jupiter," panted with exhaustion, whispering to herself, "Why? Because they're the ones who take all the heat." Her hands were injured and trembling, hanging limply at her sides. Above all, if you want to survive, you shouldn't have become a mercenary in the first place. Jupiter took out a cigarette, wanting one last puff before kicking the bucket, but looking at her blood-stained, shaking hands, she mocked herself. Can't even conjure the energy to light it anymore. Jupiter sighed, looking at the monsters preparing for another wave. I thought I just had to live a quiet life and collect my paycheck. She let out a laugh. So this is how it ends. From far away, the sound of galloping horses rang out, accompanied by a loud shout, "Still alive!" Lucas appeared right on time, with his sword in hand. As expected of a chief commander, his strikes were incredibly precise, defeating the group of monsters closest to Jupiter. She was stunned, unable to believe that she had just been saved, and the person who saved her was Lucas. A few minutes earlier on the city walls, as shouted orders, "Focus on re-establishing the defensive line. Every soldier is losing their mind." Lucas received the order and obeyed. "Understood, Your Highness," as gritted his teeth, silently praying, "Please, Jupiter, just hold on a little longer." After that, he smacked the soldier nearest to him, in anger scolding him, "Get a grip. Don't let your spirits be crushed just because the monster is huge. System notification, the skill Indomitable Commander has been activated." That soldier, eyes suddenly flared with fighting spirit and shouted even louder than, "As understood, monster, I'm not afraid of you." The sudden turn of events made him widen his eyes in shock. "What are they doing?" Az suddenly felt scared, looking at his own hand that was emitting a strange light. He seemed to have figured it out. "Don't tell me." The system displayed information about Indomitable Commander card, which helps boost the morale and fighting spirit of fellow soldiers within a 10-meter radius. As realized, this skill didn't just stop the drop in morale, but it could also revive the spirits of soldiers who had given up. He immediately changed his plan. "Lucas," the other replied, "Yes, Your Highness. As boldly declared, I will be responsible for calming the troops and re-establishing the defensive line. Lucas, you lead the rescue squad, open the gates, and save Jupiter's army. Enter the death zone and rescue your comrades." It was a foolish order, but Lucas answered seriously, "Yes, Your Highness, I promise to return as soon as possible." Lucas didn't seem to hesitate at all, watching him ride off to save Jupiter. As secretly hoped, "You have to succeed." Lucas was busy knocking sense into the soldiers, keeping them fired up. "Wake up, you idiots!" Down below, he charged on horseback, sword in hand, to save Jupiter. With pinpoint accuracy, he wiped out the vanguard monsters closing in on her. Jupiter was stunned. She never expected a guard to come to her rescue. She was so shocked she dropped her cigar without even noticing. Lucas steered his horse around her, telling her to hold on tight. Before Jupiter could even process what was happening, he grabbed her by her clothes and hoisted her onto the horse, then bolted. Lucas's warhorse carried them both away from the living armors at top speed. But trouble doesn't just stop because you want it to. The monsters weren't about to let them go that easily. One monster shrieked, seemingly giving an order. With that, it and several others started hurling spears just like they did with Tien. The spears whistled through the air, their sharp tips glinting with a cold light. As that, they closed in. Lucas swung his sword with brute force, shattering the spears and deflecting their trajectory. He kept pushing his horse toward the city gate. Jupiter whispered, "Hey, young knight." Lucas responded coldly, "What is it?" She abruptly tried to play matchmaker. "I have a granddaughter, you might be interested in her. She's a good girl." Lucas didn't show a flicker of emotion, his eyes cold. He glanced at her. "If you still have the energy to joke around, use it to recover your mana. There are plenty more monsters up ahead." Jupiter laughed to herself and sighed. When it came to his master, Lucas was as gentle and devoted as could be, but to anyone other than the prince, he was colder than ice. She hesitated, then spoke up. "Well,
Thank you for saving me. Lucas spurred his horse on, replying indifferently. No need to thank me, I'm just following the prince's orders. His eyes drifted to the other side. A wave of profound grief slowly spread through his body. Over there lay the recruits who had sacrificed their lives. Lucas thought, I'm sorry, everyone, I couldn't get back to you in time. It's all right. As if understanding his inner thoughts, Jupiter looked out at the battlefield. Just wipe out all these monsters first. Then you can sit around and grieve later. As they neared the gate, Jupiter muttered, veins popping on her face. It's been a long time since this old lady has been this angry. Thanks to the indomitable Commander buff being reapplied in an instant, Ash saw Lucas bringing them back. Jupiter was safe too, but he wasn't happy. He had lost 4 valuable heroes, John Baker, Zia, and Turg, all of them level N in the blink of an eye. He had been too overconfident in his own gaming skills. Even in the game, Ash had to manage the troops' morale. Words like fear or confusion were foreign to his game dictionary, but in reality, things were far more detailed and unpredictable. Ash hadn't foreseen that the warhorses would panic too, because this was the real world. He needed to calculate things much more precisely. That was the harsh reality. The flames were spreading further as the artillery fire from the cannons weakened. The enemy was swarming in, rushing toward the burning, collapsing wooden walls. The fort was holding no longer. The monsters poured in. Ash gritted his teeth, his brows furrowed tightly. Now they had to fight along the walls. If he could, he really wanted to put an end to this with just firepower alone. He looked at the system notification, Stage 1 level 25, Magic Knight level 5, Living Armors 277, total destroyed 775. He silently felt lucky. At least they had managed to take down many more monsters. It was worth trying this battlefield once. The situation was still within Ash's control. Lucas brought Jupiter onto the wall to report to the third prince. Your Highness, I have rescued Countess Jupiter. Lucas had reluctantly accepted Jupiter as a countess. It seemed he hadn't wanted to acknowledge her before because she had once been dismissed from the military for insubordination. But preserving someone's dignity was the right decision. Ash nodded at Countess Jupiter. I am very glad to see you returned alive. She coughed softly. I am deeply ashamed, Your Highness. This old woman has caused too many mistakes. Her hands hanging at her sides were still bleeding. I have caused young, inexperienced recruits to sacrifice their lives. In vain. How shameful. Ash didn't scold her, but instead gently comforted her. You couldn't have known that in the middle of the battle such a monster would suddenly appear, and you couldn't have known the warhorses would go berserk. That wasn't your fault. However, Jupiter still felt she should atone. It was my fault. After fighting on the front lines for so many years at my age, I still couldn't put Your Highness's heart at ease. She clenched her bleeding hand, determined to seek revenge. That was why. I swear I will defeat them and avenge this grudge. Jupiter looked at the magic knight in the sky. At any cost, I will take that monster's head. Ash advised, focus on recovering. For now, Jupiter, you will need your power soon. Below, the living armors swarmed up the wall. The artillery was still waiting. Cannons fire, Ash immediately ordered. The indomitable buff couldn't be used anymore. Cease fire. The soldiers received the order. Clear retreat the cannons. Ash also told the long-range archers to rest. Damien, take a break. You seemed reluctant, but the enemy was still coming. Ash patted his shoulder and urged him softly. You still have to catch a big prey later. Get some rest to recover your strength, okay, Damien? Only then did he listen. Understood, Your Highness. Finally, the enemy reached the wall. Seeing that the walls were unbreakable, the living armors latched onto them. They scrambled over each other to get inside. Ash began to deploy a new combat plan. Prepare for close quarters combat. The soldiers grabbed their weapons, shouting, Clear! Prepare for close quarters combat! He continued to order, Frontline infantry form up. The soldiers shouted in unison, Frontline infantry form up! A battle without magic, eh? A battle that relied purely on physical strength. Ash swallowed hard. The real fight was just beginning. His soldiers were ready to welcome the monsters at the wall. The living armors were slowly closing in. The monsters were as numerous as ants crawling up with eyes glowing like hungry wolves about to have a feast. Ash ordered, "Get ready." The soldiers took their positions seriously. Anxiety and tension filled the air. The rustling sound of climbing the wall continued incessantly. Ash leaned out to look, his hand still held in the air. Not yet. Wait for it. He was waiting for them to get even closer. When he saw the perfect moment, Ash immediately ordered, "Now drop it." The soldiers struggled to carry buckets of debris to the ledge. The sound of commands echoed in their ears. "Drop them now." The heavy debris was poured down along the walls amidst shouts of, "Drop them now!" It was a mix of and pieces of stone, steel, and a few items left over from the construction and reinforcement. The monsters couldn't hold on when Ash poured the debris along the fortress walls. Many living armors fell, up to the ground and shattered, but the rest of them stood up again. He frowned in annoyance. What a pain in the neck. Even after being hit by that pile of stone and steel, even as they were struck, they kept standing up and climbing the wall. A few of the monsters had been taken down, but many more remained. Ash told the soldiers, "Use your spears to push them back now. While you're holding them off, I'll reorganize our formation," Ash thought. He needed to coordinate the team. Jupiter, a core member, was ready. The system announced, "Synchronized power activated." Ash's squad layout included himself, an S rank. On the left flank, Knight Lucas S rank SR level 27 and Archer Damien N rank level 15. On the right flank, 2 mages Lily R rank level 17 and Jupiter S rank SR level 3. Level 15 added, activating Battlefield Commander skill. Squad morale will be boosted, plus magic damage for the entire fortress. Squad members increased by 20%. Ash was stunned. A glimmer of hope sparked. Increased by 20%, that's amazing. But right then the spears of some soldiers on the ramparts were snapped like twigs. The hands of the living armor slammed into the fortress. The soldiers screamed in terror. "The enemy is here!" The monsters quickly surged forward, weapons brandished. The soldiers under Ash were ready to fight. A living armor commander roared, bolstering the morale of its swarm. Just hearing it made Ash feel anxious. From now on, they had to fight. A fierce, overwhelming enemy. The soldiers were trembling, and it made Ash wonder if they could actually pull this off. As he was thinking, a powerful golden sword flash swept over the heads of the living armor. A brilliant light erupted in the middle of the fortress. Lucas darted through the monster swarm, hacking them to pieces. Then he paused to catch his breath. "I'll cut their heads off," Lucas announced. "Our job right now is to keep our spirits up and hold them back." The soldiers at that moment seemed to find new strength. They shouted in unison, "Understood!" With Lucas's help, morale was bolstered. Ash allowed himself a small smile. "That's right. It's not about whether they can do it. It's that they have to do it to survive. Every soldier has to get stronger. They have no choice but to crush them, fight, and win." He turned and ordered the mage, "Lily, activate the next artifact." She obeyed immediately. "Understood." Lily raised her hand and activated the speed-up artifact. A blue light radiated across the fortress, and the soldiers' speed increased. The system reported to Ash, "All allies' movement increased by 5%. Duration, 5 minutes. He checked his character sheet, including the traits he had equipped. 3 out of 3 traits equipped command. Attack defense. This should be useful for close quarters combat. Morale up, speed up. The soldiers moved nimbly against the monsters. Shouts and battle cries echoed everywhere. Push the monsters back. Push them off. At the command post, Ash prayed silently for everyone's success. The sky was overcast, ash flying everywhere, dark clouds gathering thick above the fortress. The soldiers struggled to resist the monsters. Lucas took the opportunity while they were blocked to attack. His blade swept through them as easily as slicing fruit. Their sturdy armor was shattered with ease. Ash watched in amazement. This is Lucas's first skill, Berserker Strike, a skill that makes him stronger the more enemies he kills. Lucas was handling half the fortress wall on his own, but even so, it still wasn't enough. Their side was slowly losing. The soldiers were flesh and blood. They were constantly being wounded by the monsters. The squad captains immediately ordered the wounded retreat. Switch positions. Meanwhile, the monsters just kept coming. Ash assessed the situation.
Unlike the living armor, his soldiers were suffering more and more injuries. Damien saw this and quickly reported, "I'll return to the front line." But Ash raised a hand to stop him. He calculated quickly. Damien needed to save his strength to attack the insects in the rear. Jupiter, too. Ash squinted, feeling conflicted. What should he do? Seeing the soldiers being pushed back, an idea flashed in his mind. There was a way to reduce casualties and take out the remaining enemies. Suddenly, a destructive fire erupted in a corner of the fortress, catching Ash's attention. His eyes lit up as he stared toward the source of the flames. This wasn't ordinary fire. It was incinerating. Only the monsters in that corner. A girl in a wheelchair was unleashing fire to burn the living armor. That person was none other than the powerful mage Lily. Ash finally remembered. Right, she can use magic. However, Lily wasn't very keen on it because after just one spell, she was already panting heavily. Give me a break! Ash also realized this. It seemed she couldn't use fire magic as much as before, but he wasn't planning on letting her off the hook. He grabbed the handles behind her chair and pushed hard. I'll give you a huge bonus payment. Ash pushed her forward. Right there. Give them some more fire. Lily resisted. I want to quit. Besides, I'm out of mana. Ignoring all of Lily's protests, Ash pushed her into the middle of the chaotic battlefield on the fortress. Just one more time. Get ready to fire. Lily had no choice but to use her fire magic while screaming at the top of her lungs. Squad synergy bonus 20% plus, and the attack totem 5%, total fire magic power 25%. Ash was wringing the last bit of effort out of Lily while encouraging her. You can do it. Flamethrower one more time, Lily complained indignantly. At least treat me like a human being. And so the soldiers used their own bodies to block the enemy. Lucas used his sword to behead them, and Lily burned everything that remained. The souls of the monsters quickly drifted out of the armor. The hollow suits of armor clattered to the ground with a loud crash. The soldiers were panting with exhaustion. Someone called out, "It's over!" And with that, everyone cheered in victory. We won! We stopped them! We did it! We did it! But Ash's words shattered the joy. It's not over. Yet, everyone was stunned. What? Lucas, exhausted after the battle, was also caught off guard. Ash furrowed his brows and warned cautiously, Don't lose focus. There's still one more. No sooner had he finished speaking than the armor scraps on the ground began to vibrate and fly into the sky. All the broken pieces of the living armor were being pulled upward by the ghost knight. It turned the heap of junk into armor for itself. Not just armor, but a massive iron sword as well. A bloodthirsty glint flickered behind its huge helmet. Just a moment later, the ghost knight's body, it was fully encased in iron. With a whoosh, it was no longer floating in the sky, but slammed down to the ground. With its massive towering frame, the ghost knight landed with a thud. Even the sturdy fortress shook as if there were an earthquake. You've got to be kidding me! Ash held his head in despair. Is this a joke? This is the boss of... And stage 1. The ghost knight was completely white, holding a greatsword just as large. It stared straight at Ash, exuding a terrifying aura. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. Ash tried to clench at his fists. He was drenched in cold sweat, his face tense with fear as he looked at the ghost knight. Damn it. Don't be afraid. It's just a stage 1 monster. The only difference is that it's a higher level, that's all. On the ramparts, a series of cannons were fired, accompanied by the command, Fire. The cannons kept blasting non-stop. Don't save the ammo. A barrage of fire rained down heavily. The ghost knight's eyes flared, piercing through the smoke and fire of the battlefield. Suddenly, the joints of his armor began to glow. Everyone on the ramparts braced themselves. Keep firing! He commanded. Hurry before he reaches the walls. Despite being engulfed in flames, the ghost knight kept advancing step by step. What a disgusting, powerful bastard, Ash muttered. He turned to Lily. She startled, gasping, Yes! Order the activation of the third relic, Ash commanded. Lily quickly replied, Yes, sir. She shouted, Activating. The artifact's magic rippled outward, boosting the magic effects of those receiving it by 100%. Next, energy surged through Jupiter's people, glowing blue. The system notification chimed, Jupiter's magic effect is increasing. She closed her eyes, sensing the rush of power, and breathed magnificent. Jupiter opened her eyes. It feels just like my golden age. Ash pointed at the ghost knight and ordered, "Give him everything you've got. Jupiter, focus all your power on his chest plate." She took a step forward. Then Jupiter summoned bolts of lightning from her hands. "Watch out for those lightning strikes, Your Highness." High in the sky, flashes of light began to emerge from behind the clouds. Suddenly, lightning crashed down from above. "Even if you get shocked by His Highness, there won't be any compensation." The lightning struck the ghost knight head-on. He was pummeled by the intense discharge. The ghost knight's chest plate shattered, revealing a glowing blue core inside. Ash gasped, "That's the soul core!" He shouted, "Demian, get the ballista ready, fire!" "Understood, my lord." As Demian's eyes glowed, he turned the cranks, the joints of the massive machine shifting into place. A piercing arrow of pure light was launched. The bolt struck the knight's core. It began to crack, then shattered into pieces. Ash cheered, "Great shot, Demian!" The ghost knight slowly collapsed. It was over, but then his eyes were still glowing. Ash looked up. "Damn it, still not enough damage." The ghost knight's arm joints flared bright and he swung his blade down toward the wall. If that sword hit the wall, would be shattered. Ash quickly yelled, "Jupiter, hit him with another one!" She chanted, calling forth the lightning, her steel weapon crackling in the middle of the storm. The ghost knight's blade reached high into the sky, wrapped in Jupiter's lightning. She shouted, "Trying to get yourself struck by lightning, you idiot!" Very quickly, the electricity spread across the entire sword. The lightning traveled from the blade down through his whole body. The sword became a lightning rod, and the ghost knight was electrocuted entirely. His face flickered within the flash of lightning, but the ghost knight still managed to swing his sword down at the wall. Ash shouted to everyone, "Run!" He screamed, "Get away from the blade!" Lucas lunged toward him. "Your Highness, you must leave this place now." The sword crashed into the wall, carving a long, straight trench. The force of the attack was so strong it blew the soldiers within the walls away. A thick cloud of dust blinded everyone. Ash scrambled to get up. Lucas asked anxiously, "Are you all right?" "Your Highness," Ash replied. "I'm fine. What about the wall?" Then Demian, Lily, and Jupiter looked toward the ghost knight. Ash stood up and stared. The ghost knight was fading. His core sparked with final embers, then he vanished. "We finally killed the first boss." The ghost knight's remaining energy surged uncontrollably. Lucas shouted, "Your Highness, it's dangerous!" Ash gestured to him. "It's all right, Lucas." The energy swirled like a tidal wave. "I knew this would happen." The ghost knight's final rage, its pure confusion, fear, and madness. It wasn't a damaging attack, but if you were careless, it could drive you insane. Ash stared him down. He unleashed his finishing move. "This is the land of humanity. Get out, you monster." The indomitable command skill was activated. His golden light pushed back the chaotic energy. The obsessions of the ghost knight simply faded away. Warm golden light shone upon the ramparts. The soldiers asked each other in bewilderment, "Where did the gate go and all the monsters?" The soldiers on the wall looked at the scene before them. "His Highness did it. It's over." Rays of sunlight gradually appeared from behind the clouds. The gloom lifted, giving way to the light. The imperial flag fluttered in the bright sun. Ash raised his hand and shouted, "We won!" Everyone cheered in unison, celebrating the victory. "We survived. We will keep winning, and we will keep living." The soldiers turned to look at him. The fear in their eyes was slowly disappearing. Lucas smiled as he watched him. I can see the fear being replaced by the joy of victory. Whether it was my morale boost skill or just my words, this feels amazing. Ash shouted the command, "Defeat the monsters and survive everything." I did with all my might. A notification appeared. Stage 1 complete. Rewards for stage completion have been delivered. Please check your inventory. The evening after the battle, a festival was held in the central square of the city. Ash raised his glass and said, "Now congratulations to everyone for defeating the Pharaoh's armada and in securing our victory. For us," he shouted. "Let's toast." Everyone at the banquet tables joined in raising their glasses. Ash stood before all the people and bellowed, "Drink to your heart's content, the tab is on me tonight!" Everyone cheered with joy. The festival had begun. A musician played the violin and melodic notes drifted throughout the festival. There was laughter and the clinking of beer mugs. In the distance, there was the smell of frying rice and the sizzle of delicious grilled meat. At a table, soldiers were arm wrestling. The judge lifted the winner's hand, the new, and soldier had won. The loser pouted, "Damn it, that last one didn't count." Ash sat in a corner watching the soldiers laughing with each other. The loser of the arm wrestling match shouted, "One more with the left hand." Ash watched them, a faint smile on his face. Suddenly, footsteps approached. "My lord, are you all right?" Lucas asked him. "You haven't eaten anything all day. Please have something to eat," Ash replied. "All right." Lucas added, "That's not the look of a commander who just won a battle, my lord." He looked at Ash and said, "You stopped thousands of living armor without major casualties. I think you should be a bit happier." Ash closed his eyes and took a sip of beer. True, there were no major casualties, but he had just taken a sip of beer when he spat it all out. Lucas asked worriedly, "Your Highness, are you all right?" Ash struggled to answer. "I'm fine, it's just the taste of this stuff is a bit different from what I imagined." He scowled. "Is this not beer? This is at least 20% alcohol." He wiped his face and continued, "The unfinished business. Even so, it's true there were no major casualties, but we still lost precious lives. The moment someone dies, whether the casualties are large or small, it doesn't matter anymore. Every life is important and everyone is precious. Of course, I know I can't save everyone in this brutal game. That's an arrogant way to think, A's. But if I had been just a little more careful, they wouldn't have had to die. It's different from the tutorial. Back then, we had the chance to change everything. It hurts because I already know that myself." Lucas stood by his side, trying to comfort him. "Your Highness did a great job. You don't need to feel bad. That is what I believe." The fire crackled as he continued. "But no matter what I say, I can't make Your Highness's regrets disappear." He looked at Az, "Your Highness, this is a victory celebration. And if the one in charge isn't enjoying it, the soldiers' morale won't be high, will it?" Lucas looked at him with a cheerful smile. "So please cheer up. At least for now. Please enjoy it with them. That's also a commander's duty." Az smiled back at him. "Smiling is a commander's duty too, huh?" Idle, wearing a chef's outfit, appeared out of nowhere and shouted, "That's right." Az jumped in surprise, yelling, "What the heck?" Idle brought out a plate of vegetables and excitedly said, "Mourning the fallen is important, but we also need to celebrate and live happily too." Az thought helplessly. What on earth is he doing? Idle offered the plate of vegetables, saying, "Only eating meat isn't good for you, so I brought some veggies." Az replied, "Hey, I haven't even eaten a single piece of meat yet." Ada smiled, saying, "Congratulations on completing the first phase, my master. It was a tough one, but you did great." Az felt a bit embarrassed. "Please keep up that momentum." She picked a tomato off the plate and popped it into her mouth. Idle excitedly cheered, "Your Highness, Az is eating vegetables." Az gave him a confused look. "What are you doing, Idle?" He kept shouting, "The prince has no meat to eat, so he's eating vegetables." Hearing this, everyone gathered around and apologized to Az. "We are truly sorry, Your Highness. We are so foolish," they cried, tears streaming down their faces. "We can't believe we forced the prince, who is famous for eating only meat, to eat vegetables." Az looked at them, bewildered. What kind of bizarre reputation is that? What kind of life has been living? One soldier yelled, "You filthy bastards, bring meat to the prince. Bring meat and bring more wine." And so the party became rowdier than ever. "Keep it coming. Drink it all up." Az was being pulled and his shoulder grabbed and shoved full of meat. How did it end up like this? I intended to reflect on today's battle in a dark, quiet corner. A hand tugged lightly on Az's cloak. "Your Highness," Az turned his head to see Lily trembling all over. "Lily, since when are you this drunk?" She burst into tears. "Fire me! Please just fire me, Your Highness!" Az held her hand to comfort her. "All right. No need to work anymore, okay? No one is getting fired during these tough times. Let me pay you handsomely instead." Two mages passed by, seeing Lily and being fond of her, they rushed over to comfort her. "I want to quit. as turned and walked away. Right, please take her away. As sat down at a table where Damien was drinking wine. Your Highness? As thought fearfully. What now? Damien smiled. The water here is a bit bitter. As said worriedly, that's not water. Who gave this kid so much alcohol? He glanced over a bit further and saw Jupiter with a wicked look on her face pouring wine into Damien's glass. As shouted, Hey, Jupiter, what are you doing to this kid? She looked at him and said nonchalantly, He's not a kid. He's a full-fledged mercenary now. He'll learn to drink smoke and learn how to burn through money. Jupiter closed her eyes and added, He's like my grandson, so I'll teach him well. As gritted his teeth. Why would you teach your grandson? Things like that. You really are a scoundrel. Damien drunk leaned onto his shoulder. Your Highness. Az looked down at him. How dare you put your hand on your head on the prince? You have become more courageous. Damien bowed his head sadly and said, Whenever I'm alone, I always see my dead friend. He reminisced about the past. I can't stop myself from thinking about that day. The guilt of surviving without him crushes my heart. Damien smiled faintly. But strangely, when I'm by your Highness's side, I feel truly at peace. That is why when I'm with you... Before he could finish his sentence, he slumped his face onto the table. That's not because I'm special or some great person. That's just my passive ability. But I can't tell him that. Jupiter sat smoking and turned to say to Az, For some reason I feel my magic is stronger when I'm under your command. Is that because of your incredible leadership? But Az thought, It's not. My leadership skills, it's just my character trait and the support of the group. This battle, Bez, has already had 25% of its difficulty reduced. He murmured, Yeah, but how could he ever say that out loud? Lucas also smiled and told, As when I am by your Highness's side, all my worries vanish and my body feels light and agile. It's all thanks to your noble character and the command talent, and of a leader like you. Az looked over at him and blurted out, Is that why you're always by my side? He answered softly, Perhaps. Az wondered, what does perhaps mean? That answer doesn't fit the knightly character he plays at all. After that, everyone slammed their glasses onto the table and shouted, For the comrades who sacrificed themselves, for those who survived, for our prince. Az was baffled, asking, what is wrong with you people? Someone spoke up. Your glass is still full, sir, he replied, because I don't feel well. Everyone shouted in unison, We are truly sorry, your Highness. We couldn't make you feel better. We caused Prince Az, who is famous for drinking non-stop for a week, to not drink a single drop of alcohol tonight. He remained silent for a long time. Again. What kind of weird reputation is that? What kind of wild life has this prince lived? Everyone kept shouting, We are dying! Please execute us! Az couldn't take it anymore and shouted back, Don't overreact, you brutes! Stop it right now! Here, and stand up. They urged him, Then please have a drink. Az replied, Why should I have to drink? He raised his glass, putting on a dangerous expression, and said, Are you satisfied now, once you... Oh, force your commander to drink? Do you know what will happen next? Hey! Fill the glasses. Everyone's glasses were filled to the brim. Then everyone clinked their glasses, cheered, and shouted, Drink until we drop. As the moon shone in the night sky, we ate, drank, sang, and talked on the night we won. Az laughed. Stumbling back to his room completely wasted, he flopped onto his bed and tapped the app to pull up the system. Need to check my inventory before passing out. Wait, I thought I had more gold, he muttered, tapping on the gold icon. Let's see what color you've got for me this time. A golden light emanated from the mirror. Could it be a legendary item? He stared blankly as he picked up a pair of gloves. Wait, not only is it SSR rank, but it's a top-tier item, too. He smiled in satisfaction. Oh my god, an SSR item. Suddenly, he angrily hurled the gloves against the wall. Damn it, what is this? This is the most useless piece of trash among all the rare SSR gear. Item info Gambler's Gloves. SSR, level 7. Gloves, attack 0.
Not even 777 durability 7/7. Each stat percentage gets a 1% boost. Well, my luck's pretty good today. He let out a bitter laugh. The gambler's whisper. Gambler's gloves, what a piece of junk. These gloves deal damage based on a heads or tails mechanic. I've used them a few times when I was bored just to troll, but they're useless in actual combat. A moment later, he walked over to where the gloves had fallen on the floor. Well, something's better than nothing, I guess. He picked them up and put them on. Can't trash them, can't give them away. I guess being SSR makes them look pretty cool, at least. He made a sour face looking at them. When I need it, it'll hit the jackpot eventually. Just gotta stay optimistic, stay optimistic. But Ash still couldn't help it. Damn! If I'd just pulled some decent gear or level up hacks, my life would have changed already. He wailed in frustration. I don't get how I'm supposed to be optimistic when even though I've got a rare golden item, I'm still just staring at the ceiling, tossing and turning. The next morning. Scene changed to late afternoon the following day. Ash was dizzy, clutching the doorframe as he stepped out. His head felt like it was splitting. Lucas greeted him with dark circles under his eyes, his face looking just as ragged. My lord, wishing you a good morning. Ash looked at Lucas and asked, Are you all right? You should really get some rest, it's still morning. The guard rubbed his face. As your guard, how could I? Ash looked at him and thought, looks like he's completely burned out. Idle walked out holding a tray of tea, greeting everyone. Good morning, both of you. Ash turned to him, unable to help but exclaim, How is this guy always so energetic? Idle happily invited them both over. Ash and Lucas had their eyes glued to the tea tray, looking famished. Here, here, honey tea. It's nice and warm, drink up, you two. After that, Idle, Ash, and Lucas returned to the battlefield where the giant knight's blade was still jammed in the city gate. Ash crossed his arms and asked, With this, we can't even stop the wild beasts, let alone monsters. How long will it take to fix this? The mage replied, It will likely take more than 2 weeks, sir. The most important task is to lift that sword out. A notification popped up. Quest Phase 1. Waiting time starts 9 days, 20 seconds. Afterward, he turned to Lucas. The remaining soldiers will assist with the wall construction starting tomorrow. He nodded. Understood, my lord. Ash instructed, Get it done as fast as you can for me. He turned to the other person and asked, Idle, how's the situation with the reinforcements? He replied, A nearby city will be sending troops soon. The soldiers sent to the central area will return tomorrow, sir. Ash hadn't calculated that, so I have to wait until tomorrow to see how things progress. I can handle some things on my own, but I can't worry about the reinforcements, too. Hopefully they arrive safely. Ash said, Good work, Idle. If there's any trouble, remember to report back to me. He continued. What about you, Lucas? While we wait, let's go do some work. Lucas asked, What do you mean, my lord? He said confidently. The dungeon. We're going to wipe out that monster nest. Lucas asked, a bit worried. Like last time, will we be teleporting to the Black Lake, sir? Ash said, Exactly, Lucas, but this time... Lucas, but I'm going to destroy that monster nest. Lucas asked with a hint of anxiety. Are we going to teleport to the Black Lake just like last time, sir? Ash replied. That's right, Lucas, but this time And we're heading to the bottom of the lake. Time to turn this gamer into a game conqueror. Let's go raid the dungeon. By evening, after discussing it with the group, Ash shouted, Okay, that's enough for today. Go get a good meal and a good night's sleep. I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Everyone left the meeting room. As for the team members, I only told them we'd be going on an expedition tomorrow morning. Hearing about it is one thing, but seeing it for themselves is better, saves me a long explanation. That night, I pushed Lily's wheelchair out of the room. I'll see you later, my lord. Ash felt a twinge of guilt. Sorry, Lily, but the dungeon requires 5 people. After that, he turned to Idle. Prepare the supplies thoroughly for the expedition, he asked, puzzled. What should I prepare, sir? Ash said sternly. Food, camping gear, and plenty of potions. And also, Idle listened intently. Prepare light sources, bring lanterns and torches. Anything that can glow, bring it. Scene change. To the next morning in the royal courtyard. Jupiter was carrying the supplies, unable to hide her confusion.
This feels serious. Where are we going? Ash used a spell to lift some boulders. Up! You'll know soon enough. Afterward, the stones arranged themselves into a gateway. Jupiter gasped in shock. Is this teleportation magic? It's been lost for hundreds of years. How is this possible? Ash thought. If you explore enough, you'll find the answer. He turned to everyone. We will teleport from here to the monster's lair under the bottom of the Black Lake. Everyone listened seriously except for Lily, who was tearing up. The bottom of the Black Lake is the monster's kingdom. We will conquer that place. And find out why the monsters are appearing from there. This is the only way to end their invasion forever. Eliminating the source of the monsters is the true goal of this game. Ash operated the system interface, chose the destination, and selected the lakeshore. He said, I'll summarize it for everyone on the way. For now, just follow me. Suddenly, Lucas interjected. My lord, please let me go first. Before he could even react, Ash had already stepped into the portal. Bye. I already told you it's safe. The system notification appeared. Loading. Moving. Tip characters gain strength by leveling up. You can level up through experience, and experience can be gained through all battles. Ash was annoyed. Isn't there a more useful tip just stating the obvious? Everyone stepped into the portal together and arrived at the destination. Jupiter was confused. This place is... she asked, genuinely questioning it. Ash turned to her. Have you been here before? Jupiter replied, her voice choked with emotion. 20 years ago when the Royal Army... I was stationed at that intersection, we received orders to pollute this lake. He repeated, try to pollute a whole lake this big. With mud, I guess 20 years ago, they had a pretty stupid commander, too. Jupiter recounted the whole story. The entire Mage Corps was mobilized, and we tried, using magic to dump mud to fill this lake up. Ash asked. And then what? She replied. This lake couldn't be filled. No matter how much mud, dirt, or stone we dumped, the lake just swallowed it all up. She frowned, saying, and there were rumors spreading through the Royal Army that the lake was a connection to hell. After the first week of the campaign, monsters started appearing in massive numbers, and the army was defeated. The plan fell apart. This is the first time I've been near this lake since that day. Ash spoke up to encourage Jupiter to stay steady, saying, because we're heading even deeper. A notification popped up. Do you wish to enter the kingdom at the bottom of the lake? Ash pressed yes. A bright red warning screen flashed. Warning, you cannot return until you reach the next checkpoint. Are you sure you want to continue? Ash remained calm. Trying to scare me. You think I've only played this game once or twice? After confirming, the jet black water began to swirl. Ash stared at it. This was the dungeon entrance. He shouted, all right, let's go! Following that, Ash and the others jumped into the swirling water. A notification appeared. Loading. You are entering the dungeon. Tip carelessness is the biggest cause of failure. Always stay vigilant in all situations. Pitch black. His first impression was that it was way too dark. Truly pitch black, he couldn't see a thing. There was some kind of sound in the darkness, as if the darkness itself was closing in. It seemed like Lucas was calling him Master, Master. Where are you, Master? Ash replied, I'm here. Don't panic. Everyone stay calm. Light it up. Finally, they landed at the bottom of the lake. Lucas raised a torch. Everyone was carrying either a lantern or a torch. Lily cast a fire spell to illuminate the area. A moment later, as the light spread wider, she shrieked, What is that? Lucas and Jupiter were also incredibly shocked. He asked, Master, what is this place? Ash answered, This is a trapped kingdom, the kingdom at the bottom of the lake, an underwater dungeon. He stared at the fortress gates ahead. This is also the home of the monsters that we've been tearing to shreds. Ash's group stopped in front of the massive gates of the kingdom at the bottom of the lake. Ash held out his hand, thinking, I can breathe, and I don't feel any difficulty when moving either. He observed his surroundings. Perhaps it's because of the ancient magic enveloping this entire city. Lily couldn't help but be amazed. How can there be such a large city under the lake and we can still move this easily? Lucas suddenly whispered, Someone is coming. Indeed, there was a pair of footsteps from an unknown person approaching. extremely quietly. The group turned to look at the stranger. That person had long, white hair and wore a black cloak. Ash gripped Lily's wheelchair and told everyone stay calm. That's not an enemy. This is our first time entering a trial space, so... That must be a guide NPC. The stranger approached and softly asked, "Are you treasure hunters looking for riches in the kingdom at the bottom of the lake?" Ash stared at the person in front of him. "What?" She looked up and said to him, "There is nothing here that you are looking for. Go back to the surface while you still can." Ash thought cautiously, "I've never seen her before. Does this NPC even exist in this game?" He pondered. The Abyss is a trial space located at the bottom of the lake, home to about 100 NPCs. This is the point where any random NPC might appear, out to provide guidance. Ash stared at her. "I've played this game over 742 times, yet this is my first time meeting this NPC. Anyway, we'll just keep going." A moment later, he spoke up. "We came from the surface with the goal of destroying the origin of the monsters." The stranger looked at him coldly. Ash said firmly, "Because of the number of monsters flooding out from this place. The world above has to suffer. We are here to end that." The stranger said coldly, "The nightmare of the kingdom at the bottom of the lake will never end. No, one can break the nightmare. It will exist forever." She added, "Many great warriors and countless heroes have tried to lift the curse of this place, but all of them failed." The stranger said indifferently, "Don't step into this dark place. While it's not too late, hurry back to the surface." There was a static hissing sound before. "You are swallowed by this abyss before you go insane in regret." Ash was silent, suddenly thinking, "If I were really going to turn back because of these words, I would have given up and returned to Earth a long time ago." He spoke up, "I am the leader of Crossroads, a defensive city with the role of stopping the monsters. I have a duty to protect this fortress, to protect all the people from the monsters." Ash looked her straight in the face and said, "I do not fear the darkness. We must go into this city and destroy the source of the monsters. This place," his voice echoed throughout the dark surroundings, "is the reason we traveled such a long distance to get here. But all the gates are locked, so we cannot enter the city." Ash tried to ask, "If there is another way, could you show us?" The stranger looked at him coldly, then replied, "All right then. I also want to see if those words really come from a brave heart, or just the wishful thinking of a fool." The stranger led the way. "Follow me to the entrance of the city." Ash asked, "What should I call you?" "What is your name?" She stopped and then slightly turned her head to answer, "I've forgotten my name." The stranger said softly, "If you must call me something, just consider my name Mumyong." It had been 10 minutes since they started circling the city following Mumyong's instructions. Lucas suddenly spoke up to protest, "We can't trust the words of someone whose identity is unknown. This is a trap." Ash held up the lantern and said, It's fine. For now, just go with it." "Are you a cuckoo clock? You complain every 5 minutes." The footsteps of the group continued to follow one after another. Suddenly, Mumyong stopped. "Right here." She glanced at Ash and said, "If you go from here, you can enter the city." He looked around. "This place," she replied, "is the underground drainage system. Careful, the path is slippery." So we bent over and followed the very narrow sewer pipe for 5 minutes. Ash held the lantern, crouching down to pass through the drainage pipe in the first area, the dry sewer. We finally reached the first area of the kingdom at the bottom of the lake trial. Ash observed his surroundings and then said, "This is where all the drainage pipes connect. All the pipes are dry. I don't see a single drop of water." After that, he summoned the stones. Ash arranged the stones and created a teleportation gate. The system notified first area dry sewer. You have entered a safe zone. Ash thought, a safe zone is here too. It's a safe zone where monsters cannot intrude. Simply put, this is a save point for a new area. How can we teleport back and forth thanks to the teleportation gate? He opened the system menu. Next time we can continue right from this spot. The screen displayed travel information. Select your destination, the harbor, the dry sewer, the central area. Lily suddenly panicked and shrieked, "Sir, can I go home, please, please?" Ash tried to reassure her. Come on, come on. Do you think we brought all this stuff just to stop here?" Mumyong spoke up quietly. "I will stop here. From here on, go wherever you wish." Ash turned to say to her, "Thank you for showing us the way, Mumyong." She added, "I warn you, the kingdom at the bottom of the lake has been completely swallowed by the nightmare." Mumyong said the further, "You go the thicker the darkness will become, and the monsters will be even more ferocious." She looked at Ash. "If you truly must advance into the abyss despite everything, here is my advice. My child, I forbid you from ever letting the light go out." As fell silent for a moment before she spoke her final words, "I hope you are blessed on the path ahead." Mumyong turned away. As they left, Lucas asked in confusion, "Who was that woman? How can she live in this underwater city?" Az replied, "I don't know." Demian looked around with a hint of fear. "Prince, the darkness here is truly strange, even with my eyes. Even with these eyes, I still can't see what's ahead." He continued, "It's as if the darkness itself is breathing." Demian then asked, "But how could that woman walk around without—" Az pondered for a moment. "I can't answer that." He thought, "This place is full of secrets even unknown to me, someone who has cleared every level. But I do know one thing. We will see her again," Az said firmly. "Ask her then. We will reunite here at the bottom of this lake. Whether as an enemy or a friend, it doesn't matter." He turned to the others. "Is everyone ready? We have equipped everything necessary for this safe zone." The system notified area. 1 shallow sewer. Completion progress area 0 out of 3. Boss 0 out of 1. As said to the group, with our party level dealing with... "This pile isn't a problem." He spoke up. "Let's keep going." Lucas followed behind. "This is the corridor leading to the drainage gate," he said, looking around. "How long is it?" Az replied, "We'll be at the end soon." A challenge area typically consists of rooms and passageways where you can find items, fight enemies, or speak to NPCs in these areas. And here, the event occurred in the first room. Suddenly, a massive, foul-looking rat appeared, letting out a ferocious hiss. The system warned. A swarm of rats is surrounding the group. "Eliminate the enemies. Shallow sewer area 1 level 3. 14 giant rats." Az looked at them and smiled confidently. "Giant rats. Don't let their numbers fool you, but they aren't exactly tough opponents either." Lily screamed, "Rats!" He replied helplessly, "Are you afraid of so many things?" Then Az raised his hand to give orders. "Lucas, you handle the front. Keep your distance and only strike those that get close." Lucas gripped his sword and charged. "Yes, sir." Az continued his orders. "Demian, I'm afraid these guys have tough hides, so aim for the eyes or the neck." He replied, "Understood, Prince." Next, Az turned to Jupiter and Lily. "Save. Your magic only attack the ones that get past Lucas's defensive line. And he thought, will just sit back and watch." Lucas swung his sword easily, slicing through the swarm of rats. Demian focused on using magic to attack the rats one by one. After a while, the swarm was wiped out, as praised them, "Well done." "Oh, you guys aren't bad at all," Demian said. "Compared to what I was worried about, it was quite easy." Lucas turned and asked, "There were 13 of them, sir. Should I collect the magic stones?" Az replied, "No need. Their rank isn't worth much, and there aren't many." Suddenly, he froze. 13. According to the system window, there were 14. One rat had indeed slipped past, crawling on the wall right behind Az. He turned, and it immediately lunged to bite him. Attacked by surprise, as panicked as the rat flew toward him like a dart. Suddenly, a notification screen popped up. "Jackpot win." He used his gotcha gauntlet to punch the rat square in the mouth, sending it flying 10 meters away, killing it instantly. Demian's jaw dropped, as stared at his own hands in shock. A lucky shot. Over 100 points, I guess good deeds get rewarded after all. Lucas rushed over, frantic. "Your Highness, are you all right?" He replied, "I'm fine." Lucas asked, "What was that just now? How could you finish off that monster in just one hit?" Az looked serious, thinking. "I can't tell him that every time I win I get a few chests. and when I opened one, I got a gauntlet. He struggled to come up with a logical answer. Well, that was the prince's punch. Lucas looked confused. The prince's punch? Az stammered. That's right. The prince's punch, you've never heard of it. Az broke into a cold sweat while forced to make things up. When a member of the royal family is in an emergency, we can awaken a super ability a few times. That's how it is. Please accept that answer and let's keep moving. Lucas's eyes lit up. That's amazing. However, as thought, everyone except Lucas doesn't seem very convinced, but we kept moving anyway. Thankfully, they were all quick-witted. The system notified Underground Sewer Area 2. This room was empty. Az stood in the middle of the room, instructing everyone, there must be something hidden here. Search thoroughly. Demian spotted something. Is there something here? Az said excitedly, Go ahead, Graven, I'm counting on you. He exclaimed, Your Highness, it's a treasure chest. Az praised him, Well done, but be careful. This could be a trap disguised as a chest. Just as he finished speaking, Jupiter flew in from somewhere and pounced on the chest. The greedy character trait had been activated. Az screamed internally in a panic. This greedy old woman. What if it's a trap? She opened the chest and nothing scary jumped out. Seeing that, Az breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness it's a real treasure chest. After a while, Jupiter spoke to him seriously. My apologies. Every time I smell money, I lose control of myself. She said happily, Here, I'd like to return this chest to you, Your Highness. Az was speechless. Hey, old lady, do you think I can't see? Shampoo, awesome. What's already in your bag? Suddenly, a red notification appeared. Eliminate enemies. Underground sewer area, 1 level 3, giant rats. The group stared at the next swarm of rats. After, easily passing round 3As, stopped. We have finally reached the final room. In front of the group was a tall, sturdy door. Next was the boss room. Az turned to everyone. After we take it down, we can go home, so keep up the good work. The door slowly opened, and everyone cautiously stepped inside. The room was full of rat carcasses, piled on top of each other. Az frowned and covered his nose with his hand. What the hell? The smell of blood. Far away, a figure sat with their back to him, muttering, No escape for the little mice. The figure revealed hands with sharp claws. Squishing the rats, I need to kill every last one of them. The giant rat man continued, I need to eradicate the rats. I need to clean up all the rats. It looked up at the ceiling and roared, Make the kingdom at the bottom of the lake truly clean, clean. Demian Az stared at the rat man in confusion. The monster, is it speaking human language? Suddenly its ears twitched as if it heard the noise of their arrival. It angrily turned. It's a head. What? There are still some rats left alive. A flashing red screen from the system appeared. Eliminate boss. Underground sewer. Boss level 15. Giant rat man. What the? There are still some rats left alive. The system's bright red screen flashed. Defeat the sewer boss. Area boss level 15 giant rat king. The sewer system was roaring with such ferocity. No matter how many we killed, those damn rats were everywhere. They were overwhelming, and even Black the sewer manager looked just as bewildered. Why would a rat have a human name? One of them shouted as it flew into a rage, lunging at the group. I'll kill you all! The boy's eyes went wide. I need to say something. Watch out! Lily screamed in panic, blasting the rat man with flames. Fire erupted, engulfing its body. Hot! It's too hot! It shrieked, still attacking while screaming in agony. Stay back. The rat man was quickly charred by the flames, howling with resentment. You miserable rats! Jupiter lost her patience, summoning a bolt of lightning. Enough, stop right there. That's enough of that. She fired a lightning bolt straight through the creature. Sweet dreams. It was jolted violently, and after that hit the rat man, slowly collapsed. I need to clear out these rats, she muttered. Now that, Ace exclaimed, is what you call finished. Fast indeed. Thanks to the combination of lightning and fire magic, the rat man had been taken down with ease. A characteristic of these monsters, in the early versions, is their low magic defense. If we had only used physical attacks that fight, would have been much tougher. Lily, meanwhile, was panicking, tugging at his shirt and pleading. "Are we going home soon?" "Your Highness." Ace turned, trying to sound reassuring. "Almost. Are you scared?" she replied. "The whole room is filled with rat corpses. How could I not be?" Leaving behind the charred remains of the rat man, the group walked over to a bed at the end of the room. A system prompt appeared. Treasure bed. Having learned his lesson, Ace turned to instruct Lucas. "Lucas, hold Jupiter back." He nodded. "Yes, Your Highness." Then Lucas carried her away while Jupiter struggled and screamed, "Let me go, Lucas. Show some respect to your elders." Meanwhile, Ace leaned over to inspect the bed. Let's see. He pulled a sword out of the chest with a look of extreme excitement. The system displayed its info: Rat Assassin level 15, longsword type. Attack power 20 to 25, durability 20 to 25. When attacking a rat monster, it increases. Damage by 25%. Kill the rats. Kill the rats. Squeak, squeak, squeak. He thought, this is going to be incredibly useful. Ace turned and called out, "Lucas here." He took the sword with both hands and said happily, "Thank you, Your Highness." Ace added, "It's still not good enough to replace your standard sword, but keep it for now." "I'll use it later," Lucas said. "Understood." Then he leaned down to take the items from the chest. "Isn't there one more?" "There it is." The system notified him, "Automatic Defense Watchtower Summoning Scroll." Ace thought, this is the item that was guaranteed to drop in the first zone. Coming here specifically for this wasn't an exaggeration at all. "We have collected all the rewards. There's no reason to stay here anymore," Ace said to everyone enthusiastically. "All right, let's get out of here," Lily cheered. "Hooray!" A notification popped up. First area cleared, dry sewer system complete. The group walked toward the next destination. After passing through the corridor connecting the boss room, "The sewer is over," Ace said, surprised as he looked ahead. From this point on, it was inside the kingdom beneath the lake. Ace looked at the city before him, stunned. These were the streets of a prosperous city. Even the alleys looked like this. A city that had reached the level of a miniaturized magical society. This was the true nature of the kingdom beneath. The lake, the forgotten one.